Are you tired of drinking alone, or worse, with boring people? Hi Minnesota, I'm Meme McGill, and do you want to experience the kind of atmosphere where the drinks flow as freely as the gossip? Then come on down to Stoney's in Rockville, Minnesota. At Stoney's we don't just serve drinks, we serve connections. Some legal, some not so much. Need a spot to discuss your latest scheme, or just want to unwind after a long day of avoiding responsibilities? Well then come on down to Stoney's where the drinks are cold and the secrets are spicier than our famous Ultimate Bloody Marys. Whether you're planning your next big hustle or just looking for a good time, Stoney's is the place to be. We've got pool tables, karaoke nights, and the only thing more colourful than our drinks is our clientele. Hey look, you didn't hear this from me, but did somebody say $2 cans on Thirsty Thursdays? Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? At Stoney's Bar, every night's a wild card, and the house always wins, unless you're buying the next round. Just remember that what happens at Stoney's stays at Stoney's. Well, that is until the next town hall meeting. Just check out all of our testimonials. Stoney's Bar, Rockville, Minnesota.
Hit like if you like the show. If you don't like the show, don't hit like, or hit thumbs down. Be like, this guy sucks. I don't mind. But if you do like the show, hit that like button. It really does. I got to remind YouTube that I'm here. They are not distributing things out.
How's it? Is this every? Okay. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Now we have the final result. Well, not really, of the HR OMO hearing. This is the. Well, it's actually a TRO. I just like to say HR OMO. But we have an announcement that it's continuing until at least August. It's been an absolute disaster in Minnesota, just like it's an absolute disaster in my fucking camera because I'm back into 1080p, like 5 frames per second again. Okay, so I don't know. I have no idea what's happening. It was working. Everything was fixed, and now it's broken again. Just like my life, it's disaster. But at least I haven't driven into a shovel mech. As we're going to go back, we have to go back about 5-6 days in the past. Now, Nick was excited. He was just about to have his victory over the toe. Everything was going to come to fruition. He was going to say on the stand in front of the judge and everyone there that Aaron drank his goo. And then he shared his Reddit account. It was exposed that he was the early leopard. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, well, it did get worse. You know what? We'll play the clip real quick.
But at least now it can't get much worse.
But it did get worse.
Monday. So now we're, I guess, literally 5 days ago. Let's go. Monday live stream. Hey, guys. We had a little bit of a family setback as some of us were in a car accident. Oh, no. Say it ain't so. Yeah, the toaster. I don't know what's happening. It's a good camera. Everything's work. I'm just going to stop talking about it and pretend it's okay. You feel free to shit on me in the comments for it. It's fine. It's clearly my fault. In fact, it's actually StreamYard's fault. We're this close to kicking StreamYard to the curb. We're giving it one more chance. It's going to be good to us next time. But, oh no, a little accident. Okay. Everyone appears to be fine at present. We were discharged from the hospital and we're home. I won't speak too much on the accident, other than it was completely their fault. They didn't see us, and they caused the accident. Now, I'm going to press X to doubt on this, as we're going to see through the details, and we're not sure. We might get a body cam for this, which would be very fun. But if you think it was Nick's fault, press 1. If you think it was the other guy's fault, press 2, I guess. And if you just want to abstain or spam Bs, then I'd appreciate that as well. Every B is another buck. Well, it's not really. If that was true, I'd be fucking rich. Every B is a little bit more money to me in my pocket on Kick, and every like is a little bit more distribution on YouTube. Now, he says he won't speak too much on the accident, other than it was completely their fault. They didn't see us, and they caused the accident. Quite thankful because in the possibility of real tragedy, we were protected. For now, my neck and arms hurt. Now, his neck hurt before the show, and before the crash as well, but that's for a different reason entirely. But he says that it was injured from the airbag and steering wheel. I have no apparent broken bones. We'll update you soon. Now, interesting fact about Minnesota, and specifically Candiota County. I'm glad his kids are okay. I think there was one of his kids in the car, but they're now like 18, so it's like one of his adult children was in the car. I think there was 3 people in the car. It was the van. In fact, we have well, I'll get to it when we get to it. People realize that the Candy Ojai County Sheriff's Office, they put out these like daily kind of bulletins with all of the accidents and traffic collisions and things throughout the week. So they decided to start refreshing, hitting F5. Oh my goodness, I'm actually dented tonight. What the fuck is going on? I haven't even had anything to drink. That's the worst of it. They put out this statement on a mysterious accident. Press release: motor vehicle collision with payloader on Monday, June 1st, approximately 5:30 p.m. The Candy Ojai Sheriff Office responded to a report of a motor accident collision with a payloader along the 8,400 block of Candy Ojai County Road, yada yada. The passenger of van was driven by a 44-year-old Spicer man with his family traveling southbound when it was attempted to avoid a large payloader that was crossing the roadway in front of them. The van struck the payloader in the bucket area. This is going to be important later. There were 5 occupants in the passenger vehicle. I guess there was more than that because there was Nick, his wife. There was one of the adult. I guess the minors were just redacted from this. Well, I'm glad that they're okay. They were all transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The Candy Ojai Sheriff's Office was assisted by the fire department, yada, yada. Now, we also have another little detail is, I believe, wait, hold on a second. Here it is. Now, people were quick to comment on this Facebook post. John Russell saying, hopefully the driver of the van, suspended lawyer Nicholas Rekieta, was given a field sobriety test. He has a history with felony drug charges, driving infractions, and CPS investigations. Great work, Kent First Responders. Sounds like that guy, Nick Rekieta. Matches up with his story on Twitter. He's always under the influence of something when he drives, even with his kids in the car, way over speed limit. I hope he finally gets some help. Somebody caught the whole thing so sad, peep it. Now, people obviously decided to, they're pressing to X to doubt on this. We have Scarebro over here. He's saying a press release was issued by the Candy Ojai office, matching that Nick Rekieta's age and location collided with a payloader attempting to cross the road at 5:30. Attached is the location via Google Maps described in the press release, as well as a reference picture of what the payloader is. According to the data, Nick was tweeting approximately 8 minutes before the crash and would not return until 9:35 p.m. So he was texting and driving. And this is the funniest part of this, actually. Let me see. Minnesota, for all that Nick complains about, is a no-fault state. Nick Rekieta has a long history of speeding violations and unpaid speeding tickets because Minnesota does not take away license away for not paying his speeding tickets. And now some people are assuming that he doesn't even have insurance in this, which might be very funny. One person commented that Nick had even received a citation for not having insurance. So there you go. Now, this is the payloader. Now, a funny detail about this, you can't make this up. This is actually meme magic. A funny detail about all of this is that the van hit the bucket area, okay? This is the bucket, okay? This is the shovel mech. And these teeth are usually referred to as toes. And yes, they are made out of steel. So it seems that Nick had a collision with this steel toe, and it's another win for the steel toe. He can't keep getting away with it, chat. He can't keep getting away with it.
He can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
Now, the other driver, as according to the West Central Tribune, was a 66-year-old man from Evansville. He was fine. Obviously, he would be fine. Now, some people are wondering, if we go back to these other images, how did this occur? How did this occur? So this is the road, and this is the intersection. Allegedly, there's like a construction area over here. So, you know, and you can even see in this image right here, right here, you can see one of the loaders crossing the road. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, these things aren't quick. How would this be the fault of the payloader? It seems very much more likely that Nick was texting and driving, checking up on his steel toe Aaron boyfriend, and then he tried to swerve around it and got hit in the front of it. I really hope that there is some footage from the cab of this. Now, of course, the Zuluminati has been very effective in blocking any body cam releases through the state so far. But you never know. You never know. Does he have eyes? Well, we actually have a police reconstruction of the event, which I'll show you in just a second once I actually get this to work. There we go. All right, here is it. Any second now. Any second now. I shouldn't have been so gung ho on that one. Enhance. Okay, we'll enhance it. There you go. This is where it occurred. I don't know how the fuck you drive into one of these things. Come on now, work. There it is. All right. It is this one right here. Here is the reconstructed crime lab analysis. All right, very cool. Very cool. All right, now, some people are also interested in the timestamp. As it turns out that the last message Nick sent before crashing into the payloader, these are the last messages, okay? There's a couple. The first one was, he was talking about the Karen Reed, yada, yada. 8 minutes before colliding with a payloader, his final message was, what's it like being dumber than cereal? I mean, this is what happens when you're terminally online. It just doesn't work. And we also have this one. Here you go. This is actual cam from inside. This is the best we're going to get as he runs into the actual payloader. Cool cat sock. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. So that's kind of the funniness. Now, of course, everyone was fine, allegedly. We'll have to see how that turns out because you can get... you can have these like knock-on effects from traffic accidents, and hopefully everyone was just fine. Now, Nick does have a history of poor driving skills, driving too fast, under the influence, and even in the Mustang, he's gone off the road several times. This is one of the officer comments from before, one of the previous infractions. You can see that he was a vehicle came up behind me, traveling above the speed limit, and then I got back behind and followed him. When I pulled him over, passing, he would not stop to roll down his window. Further, when asked about his inspired assurance he displayed on the tabs, he'd been stopped and warned for many of these violations before. He got upset when given citation. Drivers said to me, "You are absolutely bullshit lying. Fuck off." About drifting over fog yellow line multiple times. So there you go. Now, unfortunately for everyone in the chat, one of the casualties of this collision was that he had all 5,000 local gifts in the van at the time. What the fuck? It's just police scroll. It's just police scroll, so it's kind of confusing to read. So it's going to be a big fucking L for any of the 5,000 local subscribers. But speaking of subscribers, we've got Real Max Mura in the chat. He says, the camera is under attack. Yes, I have no idea. I tried to fix it, but it's just felted. We also have another win for the toes, indeed. Thank you very much, Max, for those twos. We got Sporkmaster saying, huge day for the unemployed. It really is. It's a Saturday as well. We also have DB with a £5. Says, got the Simpsons clip. Remember when I took that home winemaking course and I forgot how to drive? It's because you were drunk. Yes. That's a good one. That's a good one. But I don't have it right now. And I think, oh wait, we've got a couple. We got a Chorgon Stormhammer gifted a sub over on Kick. Platystein gifted a hype. Winter Soldier gifted a hell yeah. And we also have a full send from Humongous Spungus. There we go. All right. So that's the prelude. That's the prelude. So today, or I guess, I don't know, it'd probably be for tonight. It's like, what is it, Friday night for you guys, or is it Saturday morning? I guess it would be Saturday morning, right? For most of you. So let's get to the big HRO. Oh wait, no, sorry. We got the sand segment first. If we hit the goal tonight, speaking since the payloader is absolute victory. I realize that there's like this cafe in Japan, right? And you can actually go to this cafe, and this is the sponsored sand segment, and they have a remote controlled digger thing where you just sit there drinking. I think it's like all you can drink actually, and you have a remote control, and you get to play with the shovel mechs and the loaders and everything, and just drive around in the sand, and like. I don't know, just build sandcastles and stuff. So there you go. That might be a bit fun. If we hit the goal, I promise I'll go to this this cafe and make a little video. But how about that? We also have Whiskey with a 5 says, I have been around heavy equipment my entire life. Never ever heard of bucket toes being called teeth. Bucket teeth being called toes. Must be some Japan crap, like your camera. I mean, when you're right, you're right. But anyway, let's get on to the main the first of the main segments. We've got this segment, then we've got the update with the Bricks and Minifigs. So, all right. First of all, we need to give the fit check. This is what allegedly Nick was wearing in court. How are you guys feeling about this? If you want to abstain from this vote, you can spam Bs, but give this a rating from 1 to 10. This is how he's dressing up. Apparently, he thinks that he can impress the judge by dressing like rejected concepts for the Joker. 0? Oh, come on. It's a little bit better than that. I mean, he doesn't look like he's homeless. He looks guilty. He looks like a dork. God awful? That's a bit rude. Come on now. Gay out of 10? Well, that one's true. That one's always true. 330. Wait, what? Cheap movie villain? That's how I describe it. All right, so we'll get into... I guess we'll just get into the transcript first, right? Oh, well, actually, a fun detail of this is as soon as the court ended, Sorry, I forgot to mention this. I gotta properly set the stage. So Nick was complaining all week that his driving was actually excellent and he's never once texted while driving. However, as soon as he got off from his court case today, he was driving on his phone, calling into the Aaron Gaylog show when he was under gag order regarding the HRO case. He decided to call into the stream about Aaron as soon as court gets out, supporting the idea he believes is the best way to get attention from people who will tolerate him for being a toe man bad. And I think even the toe logs are kind of getting tired of him because he's just like, he's dancing around and he's ruining this for them because they want to see Aaron get actually put away, but it's not happening. Now, there was people inside the courtroom. Of course, Mama Kay was there, but there was this Tiki Man Bar who put out this really good court notes that we'll go through now. And this is basically a whole day's worth of toe logging. All right, so this starts from 8:35. We have the dramatic reading of the HRO report. 8:35. Aaron arrives. He looks clean and sharp in a dark blue suit that fits him well. So he's fat. Just joking. He looks serious and cracks no smiles towards anyone. He enters the courtroom. 8:55. Hard to let yourself in because they weirdly did not open the doors like they normally have. Aaron is rocking in his chair. He seems a bit anxious. Oh my goodness. Say it ain't so, toe bros. No sign of Nick yet. 9 a.m. A Zoom call is happening before the hearing. Aaron is fidgeting in bits as people enter the courtroom to watch. 9:02, so he's late. No surprises there. Nick finally comes in. He sounds really out of breath, disheveled, unbrushed, greasy hair, burgundy pinstripe suit that is ill-fitting, even very disrespectful. Now, of course, we know that he gets these suits from Goodwill, so that makes sense why it doesn't fit him. Even when he sits down, he is taking an audibly pained breaths. The suit jacket is tight around his arms, backing the shoulder bulge out a bit, and the pants are wrinkly and loose, so he can't even fill his own pants. He's got never mind. I won't say that. But of course, like Nick, to be fair, Nick was in a car crash, so it's difficult for him to move. Okay. I must emphasize how hard his breathing and labored it sounds. I can hear a few booths away. It's like hearing someone sleep in a room. 9:15. He has not looked up once since coming in, and he keeps writing something down. Now, we'll learn that this is actually him drawing, and you can actually see the photo here. So this is what he was drawing in court. Dorkbut returns to court. I guess this is Kayla's point of view of Aaron. I don't need protection from Nick. He was very he wrote his name so fucking big. It's so funny. We got Bryn Layden with our I'm late, Devo. Thank you very much for the 2. All right, so he's drawing in courtroom. Very mature behavior. 9:16. The lawyers finally meet with the judge in another room. Nick is still looking down, scribbling and touching his face and neck. Head down, elbows on table. Aaron is sitting straight and just looking forward calmly into the void of the room. Nick keeps scratching his forehead and loudly sighing. So he's got the Chris Chan stress sighs. I guess it's the first time he's seen Aaron in a while and he's excited, but he's also sad because he thinks in his mind this is going to be the last time he ever sees Aaron because he was assuming that he was going to be a total Baldo victory today. when actually it turns out to be one of the worst results possible. 9:20. Nick has still not looked up once and lets out an audible groan under his breath. He legit sounds pained and agitated. 9:25. Nick cracks his neck loudly and lets out a massive sigh. He is still focused on something in front of him, so he's sighing and drawing this picture. Why can't I quit you, Aaron? I guess this was going through his head if I had to guess. 9:30. At this point, he has looked up maybe 3 times for a few seconds. It is bizarre. He cracks his fingers loudly. I guess I cracked my knuckles before I stream. I can't do it. And keeps resting his face in his hand. 9:43. The judge and lawyers have finally returned from the other room, and it begins. Aaron versus Melton is first. And this is going to last basically all day. They basically clear their entire schedule to try and get through this nonsense. And there are some funny parts in here. I have to give it to Nick. But the problem is, court cases are not about who's funniest. And if you want to get W's and get clipped by the Devilverse people, that's fine. But if you lose in the process, what was the point of it all? I guess it doesn't matter. Melton gave them a letter yesterday saying he has medical issues and could not sit long enough to drive or take a plane to Minnesota. Basically, the judge said that since over 60 people were causing an issue with the online hearings in this case, he will not further have the case online unless it's in person. The TRO stays in place until he can come in person. So Melton was absolutely felted by this, which is very funny, that all of the naughty people that were jumping into the Zoom call and making Stoney's references and stuff, now we can't watch it online. And Melton's just going to have to suffer with his bad back. Don't you guys feel bad now? Melton's got a back hurt. His back pain. He can't lie down. He can't sit down for more than 30 minutes on a plane. So he can't go and talk about Aaron. And that means the TRO's in a place until he does. Until he, I don't know, like Minnesota has the funniest courts, honestly, because it's like, how far is their fucking reach? I need to find that picture I have of the Minnesota octopus reaching over the globe. They could reach into Mexico to get Ralph, and now they're reaching down to Las Vegas and making Melton suffer. I don't know. Aaron's lawyers mentioned that he was seated for a long time at Hackmania, but the judge kind of shrugs it off as hearsay. 9:50. Aaron versus Nick begins. No new exhibits have been entered, but Aaron's lawyer has one. They bring up the incident when Nick was streaming one of the court meetings, and they thought he had OBS on. The judge says he's aware of it, but I guess there was no real investigation and won't consider that incident in this case. Moving on. Now, if you're wondering about this, basically Nick uses OBS as a virtual camera, which is probably a good idea because it doesn't. My regular camera's not working. But he flashed the OBS logo briefly during court, and they thought he was stream recording it, which he may have very well been doing. And he got a little bit of a naughty boy point for that. Ceiling cats. Oh, you know what? You're right. I forgot about the ceiling cats. There you go. There you go. Now everything's working. Maybe that's why the camera was fucked, because I didn't have the ceiling cats turned on. 9:53. Aaron takes a stand. Nick's fat fucking lawyer starts cross-examining. I have never heard more ums and ahs in my life out of someone. With 10-second pauses in between, no exaggeration. So apparently this is as bad as a Jeremy stream. Like, we'll see it as it goes along. They bring up the tweet where Nick told Aaron to off himself. He legit talks like Hambley. Broken sentences and all. There you go. There's the reference. We have to say it. Is it this one?
I'm Tiger.
Ooh.
Okay.
I won't make you watch the whole thing, but I had to play the I'm Tiger part. Woke Millennial gifted 5 subs. Big support from over on Kick. It's kind of crazy how much support there is actually on Kick. Even when it's like this YouTube size is like 5 times larger, the support on Kick is about the same. It is really quite crazy. All right, so there's the impression of what Nick's lawyer is like. Okay. I am reminded of the retard cop that works with Joe from the early seasons of Family Guy. Aaron's lawyer says Nick's lawyers already asked these same questions last time. Again, Nick is just holding his face in his hands. What? Like he's just going like this? Is he crying? There's no crying in the courtroom, Nick. What are you doing? A direct quote from Nick's lawyer. Each dot represents one Mississippi, not exaggeration. NL stands for Nick's lawyer. Nick's lawyer. And wait, do I do this? Okay, I'm going to do the first sentence. I'm going to do the first sentence exactly as read. So it's going to sound like there's a lot of dead air. Okay. Nick's lawyer. And do you under his breath? Oh boy. Do you go without your when swimming? Yeah, I do. Would that be? I guess this is like, do you go swimming without your underwear? Maybe I'm not sure. That's what it's like. That's the only time I'll do it. This first sentence. Okay, so I just had to give you a taste of the legal expert that Rekieta has hired, which is a really confusing point in this case because you'd think he would, with Daddy's money, he could get a better lawyer. Maybe this is the only one that would agree to do this case and actually like take directions from Nick. He's just using this guy as a puppet to put his own legal motions into practice. All right. So what would that be? At a public pool, he asks him if he's ever taken off his shirt in the public pool. Aaron says, yeah, probably would at a public pool. I guess what the question here is that he's going to talk about the topless picture that was taken of Aaron in the hotel room. I don't agree with this line of argument. Like, I see what he's doing here, but I don't agree with it because, like, taking a picture of someone in their underwear in a bedroom is not the same as taking a picture of someone as a bikini at a beach, right? So Nick's lawyer says, and have you ever removed your shirt during your show? Nick says, probably with my own consent. Nick's lawyer says, when Mr. Emolte, did you ever stream with Nick in a hot tub on stream? Yes, with my consent. Nick lets out a big sigh and a sniffle. Is he legit crying, chat? If you think he's crying, press 1. Press 1 in the chat if you think Nick is crying, thinking about the hot tub stream. All right. 10 a.m. Nick's lawyer asks if the pics at Hackamania were shown with his consent. Nick's lawyer tries to object this question but is overruled by the judge. He asks if he gave the pics to Nick, and he says he's not sure if he did or someone else had given them to him. They are now going over the kill yourself tweet again. Do the world a fucking favor, LOL. Nick's lawyer, are you afraid of Nick? Aaron says he is afraid and worried that Nick is capable of, especially towards his children. Well, this is true. Nick did leave cocaine around children, and his own child tested positive for cocaine. So this is a concern you would have against this deranged man. Nick is very fidgety and keeps moving around and touching his face and neck. Aaron says, is he going to run his vehicle through the front of my house? I'm not sure. I guess this might be just the reporting notes are a bit off. But basically what was happening here is I think that the story that I heard in the interpretation of this from other sources, because of course there was Mama K there and some other people, they said that basically he was saying that he wasn't afraid of Nick in a one-on-one confrontation, but he's worried about having to look over his shoulder and that like maybe Nick would drive his van into his house or something, you know, like through the front window of Aaron's house. I mean, he does drive it into trucks now and around trees and through fences. So it's pretty reasonable to assume that could happen, I suppose. He says his statements are bravado on his podcast or performance for the show, and he also a way to keep his life and those private issues from the public, says his fears have not subsided since filing the order. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I do not think that Aaron is afraid of Nick Rekieta. I don't think that there's any real threat. Well, actually, I don't know. I do think that Nick will end up one day murdering Aaron, skinning him and wearing his face, because that's the only thing that could really happen in this story, right? But, and this is one of the things I find really dishonest about any of the Dabbleverse people that like cover this stuff, is that they're always like, well, Aaron admitted that his persona is just a ruse, and he's not really afraid. It's all just for show, and it's yes, of course. Like, people do anything to win in court. This is lawfare. Of course, he's going to say he's afraid of Nick because he wants to get his motions granted. Of course, he's going to say that. Do I think Aaron's afraid of Nick? No, I don't. No, I don't. But he's going to try and felt him in the legal system. This is all gay. That's the thing you have to remember about all this. It's all gay and meaningless. But it is very funny from the sidelines. I mean, I'd probably be very upset if I was in this, but I'm not, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so 10:10. Nick's lawyer says, have you asked others to kill themselves on your show? Aaron says, there have been many times I did without public figures. Nick's lawyer says, do you consider Nick to be a public figure? Aaron says, yes. Your Honor, At this time, I need a 10-minute recess for Nick. It is granted. So 3 minutes into the 10-minute recess, Nick puts on his sunglasses. Both parties leave the room. My glasses! My glasses! I can't be seen without my glasses. All right, 10:24. We are back when Nick walks by holding his yellow pad, and I finally see what he was staring at doing the whole time. There is a giant picture covering almost the whole page of some guy. I think this is supposed to be Nick. It kind of looks like him. So this is he was trying to draw. He was trying to draw Aaron, but it thinks it just looks like Nick. Very funny. In big bold letters next to it, it just says Nick. I think I saw I think I had another picture of this somewhere. Did I not save this? Damn it. Oh wait, here it is. Okay, so this is what the person thinks that they're seeing when they walk into the courtroom. Cool, thin, wow, Nick. I mean, it's fucking over. He drew himself as the cool guy, and he illustrated Aaron as being silly. It's fucking over. His lawyer has uploaded some exhibits, and Aaron's lawyer takes a look at it. Nick writes something very quickly down and shows it to his lawyer, as Aaron's lawyer is struggling to find the next exhibit on his laptop. He's a boomer. I mean, I'm not really a card I can play, given this performance tonight. 10:30. He's not finding it. Judge tell him to hit the refresh key. It's only a 30-second clip, apparently. Potentially criminal says, "Oh, aren't you in the road to Florida right now, Sean?" He says those glasses are to keep the goo out of his face. By the way, Sean, I heard what you said about me and my ads for the Dragon's Treasure, and that was a big mistake, buddy. All right. I'm going to come up with the best Dragon's Treasures ads that you're not going to believe it. Your eyes are going to be shooting out of your head in fear, but that's a great time to mention that you can go over to the dragonstreasure.com and use code COPE. There's the tea battle, okay? Who's going to sell the most tea? Currently, I'm winning, but only because of your actions buying tea with code COPE. Buy some tea today. Get some delicious apple cider vinegar. Or is it? No, sorry, apple cider tea. It's out of stock currently because it's so popular. Some mad Australian bought over $100 of this last time. That's how exclusive it is. So you better check the Dragon's Treasure before it's all fucking gone. And there'll be no tea for you. All right, let's get back into this. Max Mura says use code COPE. Rat mods in my own chat. I can't believe it. I'm going to have to take away Max's wrench. It's criminal to use code COPE. Well, there's criminal savings using code COPE. That is for real. All right. So they couldn't find the 30-second clips or something. Nick is rocking back in his chair, and I can hear his heavy, labored breaths. Aaron's lawyer still can't find the new exhibit, and he has to approach the bench with his laptop. Oh, okay, so both of them are being boomers. The judge looks at these two lawyers up at the bench, and they try and figure it out. The judge starts walking around fixing the position with some monitors while he waits. Knowing he looks kind of goofy doing it, also, while Nick is bopping around, he's all like happy all of a sudden? Question mark? 10:35. Aaron's lawyers finally get the exhibit, and then they go outside to review it. Nick opens up the clip himself on the monitor in front of him, and he just starts playing it for everyone to hear until finally pausing it like 12 seconds in. It's a clip from Aaron's show, and no exaggeration, he's just staring at the paused clip while we wait. Now, I don't know what clip this is, but I guess it's just they're bringing up like Alyssa clips or Starlet 19 or something, and then he sees a picture of Aaron, and he just has to pause it so that he can stare at his long-lost lover. Oh, my goodness. Oh, he's in labor? Yes, indeed. 10:37, they come back in, no objection to the clip. Nick's lawyer says, are you able to see the clip T61 in front of you? Aaron says, yes. Nick's lawyer says, okay. The audio, unfortunately, will have to come from me. So they're booming the tech issue. It's just like watching a live streamer in the court, right? The clip is a steel toe morning show and Aaron saying he's not afraid of Nick and would fight him face-to-face basically after a $5 donation asked him if he was afraid. Nick's lawyer says this is a contradictory statement to the claim earlier that he is afraid of Nick. Aaron restates what he said earlier, and this performance of bravado for stated reasons, and Nick's lawyer tries to object to his answer. It is overruled. Aaron's lawyer said that was clearly answering the question. A little heated exchange there. All right, 10:41. I think this goes on for until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just imagine you're in this courtroom dealing with this nonsense. And this has been going on for a year. That's the funny thing about this. Well, I mean, I believe that this started on July 1st. So it's been going on for 11 months. And it's not going to be resolved until at least August. So somehow, through the brilliant legal expertise of Nick Rekieta and Francis White, I think that's the guy that's Nick's lawyer, right? They were able to turn what is usually a 20-day temporary restraining order into a 12-month experience. Anyway, they pull up Exhibit T44. It is Nick's tweet, the kill yourself one. Nick's lawyer says, this is where in this post did he use your name? In the tweet, he doesn't use my name. Thank you, says Nick's lawyer, under his breath. Let's see. You mentioned a few seconds ago you were afraid of Nick, of what he might do. Did he do anything to you before? They go back and forth a bit. At this point, there is so much talking and weaselly lawyer talk. Well, I mean, you could have just said lawyer talk. And I am just writing down a summary of the talks as quotes as best I can. His defense is that Nick had not done anything threatening before the TRO, but Aaron says he was afraid of what he might do again, and that's why he filed it. It is about what he could do, Aaron makes clear. What might happen rather than what did happen. He also states that the topless pics of him were shared and the screenshot of his search history prompted the filings as he felt his privacy and safety was at risk, as this seemed like escalating behavior for Nick. Now, if you're not following this story or if you've just joined us, the search history is basically Nick logged into Aaron's Google account, or basically maybe Aaron was logged in at Nick's house or something. And they got a screenshot of his user history, which showed that he was reading Kiwi Farms about Nick Rekieta and then going and beating off watching cuckold pornography, which doesn't surprise me at all because everyone in this story is a cuckold. It makes sense that they that this is their hobby, is also to watch other people do things, right? But Nick decided to share this with the Aaron A-log crew, which inadvertently showed that he was logging into someone else's private accounts. So it was pretty gay. I mean, you can kind of sum up the entire experience by saying it's pretty gay. So Nick is looking down at his doodle the whole time. When he says doodle, he means this picture. Okay, so he's looking at his picture of Aaron. Nick's lawyer asks why it was granted in the first place, and the judge says that is not the current issue. Aaron's lawyer reiterates that the photo and screenshot were posted without Aaron's consent. No further questions from this side. 10:50, Nick's lawyer asked to get rid of the TRO because there was no release of any private sexual photos, as they don't feel the topless photos are justified as being pornographic because there is no genitalia revealed and the search history can't be proven to be Aaron's. And that also that Aaron didn't ask Nick to stop talking to him since they basically have nothing. Basically. The judge asks what theory Nick's lawyer has, and again, he says the pics are not private sexual photos. Aaron's lawyer disagrees. He says the photos had the intent to harass him when they were posted, and that he was affected by it. Nick has intended the actions of harassment. He also stole this information and posted his pornographic search history, and that is true. Nick and his lawyer keep talking to each other. He looks agitated and makes a weird hand gesture when the tweet asking why Nick is still talking about his ex-boyfriend huffing whippets was brought up. The judge asks Nick and his lawyer if they think the photos are sexual. Again, Nick's lawyer says the entire argument falls on its face because the pictures do not show genitalia. He also states that Aaron is not a forensic expert in reconstruction of search history, so he can't prove that this screenshot of the search history is specifically his. They claim that these photos don't fall under the non-consensual photos law. That may be the case, but this is very clearly an intimate photo. And this is what I think is very hypocritical about Nick's argument, because obviously Aaron did a bad thing by showing the nude pics of Kayla. However, even if Aaron doesn't have nipples of a female, I mean, maybe he does, I don't know. You know, I don't know his personal life that well. Showing an intimate image as revenge is just as bad, in my opinion. Okay, this is clearly an intimate photo in a bedroom. He's naked. He's got covered with a blanket, so you can only see his top. But he's just had sex with Kayla or something, okay? And I guess Kayla's, I don't know, maybe she's just going to snowball Nick or something, okay? It's clearly a intimate sexual photo. Just because there's a different standard between men and women of what actually constitutes being naked and because there's no female nipple in it, I don't give a shit. It's clearly done as an intimate photo revenge, okay? So I don't see the difference between that. Whoop-de-did, like, oh, pussy pass, oh, I don't give a shit, okay? All right, the judge says he will partially deny the motion to dismiss the TRO on the grounds that the photos are defined enough as asexual for the law, but the context of the incidents that surrounds the photos and other exhibits is enough to dismiss it. If I understand what he's saying, maybe not, the incidents themselves count. Not enough info of which action is protected under the First Amendment. Unclear which is what he says. To completely dismiss it, they would have to convince that they are both public figures and that they're engaging in First Amendment actions. Nick's lawyer says that anything posted on Twitter, said on podcasts, and photos shown at Hackermania do fall under the First Amendment. Nick would have to be told personally which of these things violated privacy and access for the harassment. I mean, clearly it's private, his search history, right? I mean, to be fair, though, I think everyone, myself included, assumes that the temporary restraining order would be dismissed in court. So, which is really shocking to see how this has been kept going for over a year. It doesn't make any much sense at all. I guess clearly by the efforts of Nick and his flaggetry, well, not flaggetry, but the other one that words with aggotry. Nick's lawyers flounders for a bit and says none of this counts because Aaron is still alive and it was said in what? And said it was said in public. The judge then asks if sharing a search history of porn results is protected under the First Amendment. Nick's lawyer says it's fine, and posting a pornographic search history of a public figure is not harassment. Well, I mean, if you hack into his Google Drive to get it, I believe it is. He says that Aaron is not personally identified by the results, and they failed to establish that Nick knew it was Aaron's. The judge says that it is possible he did not know it was Aaron's, but is curious why Nick posted that specific screenshot then. Aaron's lawyer says the first doesn't allow carte blanche of any private information. He disagrees with the context of the information, makes it the information makes it not ambiguous, and that the first doesn't allow discussion of Aaron's penis. LOL. I love the annotations here. Oh, all right. The motion to dismiss is denied. This is the first win for the toe, so rack it up. Nix was expecting this to be denied. Nick was expecting the dismissal to be granted immediately, and the judge is like, you know what? No, we need more information. They're currently about an hour and a half or 2 hours into this. They need more evidence on either side. Is it harassment or is it protected under the first? That's how I understand the judge's decision. Information on acts and conduct, not just search. Now, some people have said that this judge is like he's up for re-election. And as a First Amendment judge, he doesn't want to grant this because it would make him seem like he was suppressing free speech. I don't know about that. It's certainly possible. Kind of seems silly that judges have elections, but I don't know, whatever. I don't know how American judicial system works, as people often remind me. Around 11:20, Nick's lawyer asked for a brief chamber of conference after this is said. Right after this, Mrs. K's photo goes off. So basically, Mrs. K, the courtroom reporter, she was trying to turn off her phone and it activated Siri, and Siri said something, and the judges decided to take her phone away to, you can't play with phones in class, Mama K. You got to be more serious than this. Let me see. So her phone goes off and everyone looks fucking angry and bewildered. I was scared, lol. The bailiff quickly comes over and takes her phone. I hear her after say that the judge wants to see her after. Oh no, she's going to have to talk to the principal after this. How very, very sad. By the way, Kaleidoscopic 20 says, had beef bowl gyudon. Have a beef bowl gyudon and sake on me. Also, I'm glad someone else is interviewing Mama K this time. You really botched that one. It wasn't my fault. All right. It was the iPad. It wasn't my fault. Oh, man. All right. Let me see. 11:35. Everyone is back in the meeting. Nick's lawyer says we have not gone over over the motion for the filing of the temporary restraining order and Nick's motivations. He says the harassment suit has not been satisfied. No conduct or speech that could be considered harassment. Nick goes on the stand at 11:37, and this is where I guess the kind of the lols come from. His pants are so wrinkly, LOL. He has dark, sunken, bitter, angry eyes, and yes, he has moments of seeing ceiling cats and looking off to the sides, but you can tell he is looking at Aaron from the corner of his eye. He keeps his head down to either side, in between being addressed. Yes, it's Nick goes to court. This is his moment. This is when he's going to absolutely felt Aaron by exposing him. By the way, retarded millennial just subscribed. Much appreciated. He's going to tell the judge that Aaron ate his goo, and therefore he should be innocent. All right, so his lawyer asks his occupation. Nick says, "My occupation? It's complicated." Well, not that complicated, but I guess I'm a bit of an influencer. Nick's lawyer, I mean, what can he influence? Wine mums to watch his show? Congratulations. Nick's lawyer then asks him what his occupation was beforehand. He says he was a lawyer. Not really sure why this is necessary, but off we go, LOL. He asks Nick when he met Aaron for the first time. He says it was October 2023 when he had booked Aaron for a comedy show at a bowling alley. Now, this is, of course, Chrissy Meyer's fault, so we can blame her for that. It's the gummy mummy striking again. Well, maybe this is for the first time. He said him and his wife developed a close bond with Aaron and his wife. When asked if the private relationship went further, he said, yes, it did. It became more intimate and private. He repeats, the private. Intimate, private, private. Nick's lawyer asks him what he meant by that. Nick says he has an agreement to keep everything they do and everything that happens between all of them private. He says April was a public person, but our wife, that is Mrs. Kayla Rekieta, is a private person. Well, I mean, she was appearing on shows and she had her own YouTube channel. I'm not sure that she's really that private, right? I know. What do you guys think? Let me see. I lost my place. Okay. Oh, there it is. Nick's lawyer then asks him when this agreement of privacy was broken by Aaron. Nick's voice starts getting uppity, and he says it's when Aaron went on the media tour, releasing all of the private aspects of his personal life to everyone. Now, this is, of course, when he went on the Kino Casino. I think he went on some other people's shows. I can't remember whose, but he did like the circuit of all the Devilverse shows, I think. He was very happy to tell this story about how he was getting cucked. But I mean, everyone was cucking each other. They're all swapping goo and all sorts of shit. This is the one thing that I think I haven't seen any of the Dabbleverse people be bold enough to say this. Okay, so this is a call out to the Dabbleverse people, because they're always like, "Well, Aaron ate his goo," and you know what? He probably did. I could absolutely believe that Aaron did slurp up Nick Rekieta's goo. It doesn't surprise me. But they never want to admit that Aaron fucked Kayla. They never want to say that Aaron got a piece of action as well. And here's the question: if you think Aaron is a goo eater, is Nick a goo eater? And I would say yes. And they say, why is Nick a goo eater? Well, because he probably kissed his wife after Aaron nutted in her mouth, specifically. All right. But I never hear the Dabbleverse people say this, because they can't give Aaron anything for some reason. And like, everyone's gay in the situations, everyone's disgusting. Just admit that everyone sucks here. That's all I want to hear from them. But they'll never admit it. All right. Anyway, where were we? All right, so this is the media tour releasing the aspects of their life. Aaron's lawyer objects, but says that Nick's lawyer says it's important to know. Overruled. Nick does seem legit proud to know the exact date of the media tour. He claims Aaron talked about him every single day for 2 years. Now, this is, of course, when Nick had his private Reddit account. He's also been talking about Aaron every day for the last 2 years. This is why I say they're both gay. Nick says that he is interested in why they are all even here. And why is there even a temporary restraining order in the first place? He says the timing is interesting. Yes, he keeps using the word interesting. It's weird, it's funny, it's interesting, in his smarmy voice. Nick's lawyer asks him why he thinks the timing is suspicious. Nick says it is 1 day after the trial involving our wife's picture. He is being super fucking catty now. I believe, like, this is how we know this is a true report. And talks about Aaron taking the pic of our wife without her consent. Well, then why was she posing for it? And showing it on stream. The judge stops his ranting and asks how this ties back into the case at hand. He then says he knows all about that case and doesn't need the details. Nick says they stopped being friends exactly on April 11th, 2024. Okay. He legit sounds like a girlfriend who knows every single little date. It is weird, LOL. He says our wife begged Aaron to stop harassing her then. Nick's lawyer then asks if Nick had been to Aaron's house before or after this date. Nick says no. And the last date he was there was the 8th, although he's not 100% sure if he hasn't or not, LOL. I mean, it's possible that Aaron's sneaking up behind the window, searching for those discarded goo socks or something. I don't know. Maybe he's looking for a second course. Who knows? Nana Feeder. That's a bit of a fun name for this segment of the show. With a 5, says the Devilverse wants everyone to believe that the guy on camera licking Aaron's ear was the Supreme Bull. Yeah, I don't know. That it is really strange. I have to admit, with the Dabbleverse people, because I can sit here and say that everyone sucks here. That there was times when Nick was a good show. There was time when it was a bad show. I could say Aaron was a piece of shit. Maybe he's still a piece of shit. Probably, most likely, honestly. But they can't do it. They can't give him a single crumb. They can't give him a single crumb. Also, Platty Stein gifted a sub. Much appreciated over on Kick. Big support. All right, now where was I? Aaron's lawyer objects and says none of this is relevant to the case. Nick's lawyer says it is for the background of the temporary restraining order. Judge says objection sustained, and he does not need more details. Nick looks extra pissed, and he still has his uppity voice going on. Nick's lawyer asks him where he got the topless pic of Aaron. He says that Aaron gave it to him, and maybe April had given him some, the one on the bed. Nick has to be weirdly specific. The judge makes sure he got those pics when they were friends, and it was a consensual, and it was during the time of their private agreement. It was. Nick's lawyer asks Nick about when the breakdown of privacy agreement happened. And in the best Freudian slip of the day, Nick starts saying the breakdown of the relationship, privacy agreement. And it started again when Aaron started his media tour. Lol, just lol. He really loved him. Aww. Can we get some aww in the chat? This is just I think I love this photo. Like I gotta give this to Nick. This is so funny. I love how he wrote his name in the big letters. It's Nick and Aaron together forever. You just gotta love it. JD Stray Shot with a 10 says Nick can't stop losing. Toe took everything from him. The Toe is the main character in every Fargo episode. Everything he does works out while leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. Aaron does surprisingly keep winning by doing nothing. That is what, like, Aaron has won in this situation, in the temporary restraining order, okay? If you want to argue about his wife being stolen or whatever, I don't give a shit. Okay, sure, his wife was stolen. But I don't know if you really want to have her when she's like that busted and used up in this relationship. Okay, whatever. That's different strokes for different folks. But the very fact of even if this restraining order is thrown out in August, he already kept it going for over a year and 1 month, in fact. It would be the funniest thing that could possibly happen if this restraining order was extended for 2 years, just to spite Aaron. Oh, sorry, just to spite Nick. I mean, Aaron and Nick are basically the same person. That's what you have to understand. They're two sides of a different coin. That's why they're going to be together forever once Nick murders him and eats him, and after he cuts off his face and wears it around the house and puts on his own little steel-toed morning shows in his own basement, like Goodbye Horses style performance. All right, where were we? Okay, he just really loved him. When Aaron's lawyer says objection to this, objection, my client does not love this man. Nick says into the mic, cutting him off, I don't like you. This is my first reading of this, although I have seen notes of it. There are some, I will admit, there's some parts of Nick being funny in here, but this one is just cringe. All right, let me see. The judge then tells Nick that this is the stand, not a podium, and that it was unprofessional last time after the hearing, and he knows better, and that he better act fucking professional now. Of course, I ad-libbed that a little bit. Nick then explains how much money Aaron made exposing all of Nick's private life on his podcast. He is very adamant that he knows all about Aaron's finances and about how much he made during the time. Says May was his most profitable month in 2024. He legit seems actually proud to know this. You can hear it in his voice. Nick then claims he was quiet for a year after the privacy breakdown and didn't talk about him on his show. No, he just went on to other people's shows and made like Reddit accounts to talk about him and shared DMs and shared gossip and was spending every waking moment talking about Aaron, while every waking moment of his wife was spent watching Star Trek and not spending time with her husband. All right, now where were we? Replay crew reporting in from the future? Very based. I love my replay crew. All right, got to clear those out. All right, now, let me see. Nick's lawyer asks him if he talked about him in 2025. Nick says he might have when he appeared on other shows and people asked about Aaron. Nick then says he got no compensations for these showings. He then quickly corrected himself and said he got paid for Hackermania. Really? Okay, we have to criticize the Dabbleverse people once again. Because Nick would have done this for free. If, like, what, you never pay someone if they're going to do it for free, okay? You don't buy the cow when you're getting the milk for free. Nick would have paid you to perform at Hackermania. That's what you should have got. That's just bad business. He then explains that this Little Piggy podcast and why they talk about Aaron. He's a topic on the show. People like to laugh at him, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean, this is true, but it's a weird thing to say, just like we like to make fun of Nick. Nick then says he's an English major. Okay. And then quickly says, no one asked. Sorry? What? This was a response to asking why he wrote the tweet. Question mark, question mark. Like, I'm really, what the fuck's going on here? He keeps saying boyfriend when mentioning the tweet, even though the person he was replying to said ex-boyfriend. Judge then asks who he wrote that tweet about. Nick says, about my boyfriend. Who is Aaron? Sorry. I'll try and be professional. I can't. He then says the tweet is fine because Aaron is alive and well. Nick's lawyer asked Nick about the comments he made about Aaron's genitalia and to elaborate. Nick says someone asked him if he'd seen Aaron naked, and he told them he did. Then Nick went on about the scene when Aaron showed himself to Nick, and then when Nick talked about how he was telling Aaron he didn't need to be ashamed of his body or being nude, he was legit complimenting him. Aaron, baby, your penis is fine. You don't have to hide. You don't have to be a never nude. There are dozens of us. Take those hands away. Don't wear the jorts in the bathroom. Then Nick says he never threatens people in any way. I tend to laugh at things. He says he is no danger to Aaron. Nick's lawyer then asks if he had ever said anything that would indicate harassment or harm, and Nick says no. Asks him if he went to Stoney's Bar in Rockville, Minnesota. Nick says he wanted to check it out and that Aaron is always telling people to go. I mean, it is a fine establishment. Well, I mean, it used to be, at least. They used to have the Naked Twister, and apparently it's been taken away. Very, very grim indeed. 12:30, lunch break for 1 hour. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's very nice. So they come back at 1:30, which is where we resume. LOL. When Nick walked back, he tried to cover the drawing pad and place it upside down on the table. He must have saw my post about it. We're all back now. Nick is back on the stand. Hair is somehow greasier. Time for cross-examination. Nick's lawyer asks Nick how Nick is. Nick says, terrible. Can we get some Fs in the chat? He feels bad, chat, okay? F for feels bad, man. Terrible. He was in a car accident 4 days ago. Nick is keeping it down and on his side still, or looking up at ceiling cats. Aaron's lawyer asks him about the Twitter post, and Nick says he isn't dead yet. Nick says the post was a neutral response and that there was no intent behind it. Nick says he will stop talking about Aaron when he is dead. If someone asks about him, Aaron will respond. He brings up seeing the nude incident again and talks about how he told him he had nothing to be concerned about again. This is very weird. Is this weird, chat? Now, again, Nick has talked, like, let's be honest. Who is Nick talking to here? He's not talking to the judge. He's talking to Aaron, and he's talking to the Clippers in the Dabbleverse. He wants this to be up on, like, Doom and Stalin and Alyssa clips and everything, and any of the other Clippers that I've forgotten about, okay? But, again, playing for points on the internet is probably not a good idea when this is a very serious issue, which he doesn't seem to take very seriously. Okay. Then, for the real reason we are all here, Nick talks about how Aaron told him everything about having issues with his penis and that he could not make his wife come. He is legit happy saying this. He then says it again, that Aaron has issues making his wife come. Nick states the exact date of this conversation. Your Honor, on April 22nd, my boyfriend, Aaron, couldn't make his wife come. What the fuck is the point of all of this? He then says that Aaron broke their contract. What? Okay. I guess this is their agreement to be one in each other forever, to have and to hold until they both die. He says Aaron broke their contract. He is he is allowed, or he says it's necessitates him to talk about all these things. Aaron's lawyer tries to respond to this by saying, well, then Nick cuts them off mockingly and says, well, the judge says, stop arguing. Okay. So Aaron's lawyer says, well, and then Nick says, well, judge, stop it. Nick again says they are public figures and nothing he said is threatening. Then he brings up the first and says that Aaron's lawyer, that he can put on his legal hat for him and that he's pretty good at the First Amendment. Okay. LOL. The judge actually face palms as Nick brings up Peter. The judge actually face palms as Nick brings up Aaron's penis for the third time. Your Honor, a third penis story has hit the stand. Yes, Nick just keeps interjecting. Nick then laughs when Aaron's lawyer brings up the tweet where Nick threatened to call Aaron a faggot in court. That's just quoting, okay, YouTube? This is what I'm reading from the documents. This happened in court. Nick says it wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Lol. Wow, LOL. Nick says faggot again into the mic. The judge asks for another question and for Nick to answer it straight. Mr. Rekieta, no more gay answers. Give it to us straight. All right, it's now 1:50 in the afternoon. Aaron's lawyer has some screenshots printed out by hand, and then he hands them to Nick's lawyer. He gives them back angrily and then shakes his head, LOL. It's the turbo faggot tweet. Nick gladly reads it out loud when it is shown to him and laughs. He thanks Aaron's lawyer for letting him read it, LOL. Nick, want me to call him it again? I won't, but it's weird. You would want me to. Laughs again. The judge is literally staring at him during this whole interaction. When asked about his appearance at our wife's hearing against Aaron, he says that he had to be there to support the victim, and that is what a husband does. He then says to Aaron's lawyer, you must not be married. Aaron's lawyer says, not anymore. Nick says, I wonder why. Now, I'm going to give it to Nick. This is a very funny interaction, but it's very unprofessional and probably not a good move in court, although I did laugh when I read this. Because I saw this clip of this, I think on like Scarebro's Twitter or something. Immediately, the judge asks for a break, and Nick, his lawyer, and Aaron go into another room for a bit. Nick rocks in his chair. Aaron is still. It is now 2 p.m. The room needed court cameras. I've heard some people say that you can get the recording, or that because this isn't like all private or something. Certainly, there'll be a court transcript, but I think this is going to be good enough. I'm not going to revisit this court date, but yes, we do. It's all those silly people who couldn't play nice in the Zoom call. That's the reason we don't have the actual footage for this. So you have them to blame for it. All right, so it's 2 o'clock. Everyone is back. Judge dresses down Nick again, saying he should know better. No more foul language. Questioning the attorneys about his personal life. No more interrupting them or any arguments, or he will be found in contempt and charged. Oh, if only. Nick goes back on the stand again, asked why he was at the hearing for our wife. This is obviously, these notes aren't perfect. Nick's lawyer objects, overruled, says he was there to support Kayla. Now, if you're wondering why this is happening, it's because like at this time, I believe I guess it was, right? So he had the temporary restraining order, but Aaron had his court case versus Kayla. I think it's pretty reasonable for Nick to go to that, honestly. It is his wife that is it's again, there's all these restraining orders go, okay, so Kayla has a restraining order against Aaron, and Aaron has a restraining order against Nick, okay? So it's a love triangle. Once Nick gets a restraining order against Kayla, it'll be complete. The triangle will be perfect. All right. Let's see. Then the Melton stuff happens. He asks if he knew Melton was there, and he said he didn't. He claims he didn't know he was flying out to Minnesota, or they just happened to do the stream together because he was there. He keeps saying he didn't know. I am not Mr. Melton is every question he asks about it. He says he did not plan anything with him. The judge asks, is he left with Melton? I'm not sure what he means by that. And Nick says no. Is he left with Melton? I guess he means leaving Hackamania? Leaving Hackamania with Melton to go to the Minnesota? Maybe, I'm not sure. Aaron's lawyer presents the stream where they talk about setting up cameras to record Aaron, and that Nick says Aaron was looking at us. He claimed he meant his wife, even though the context is very clearly about him and Melton. They then play a clip of Nick and Melton on stream together, and Nick just chuckles in his seat. It's now 2:30. Nick asks to go to the bathroom, probably to beat off. Actually, you know what? We know where he went, because he went to take that photo. He went to go take a fit check photo. Nick asks to go to the bathroom, and I can hear a very labored, loud breaths as he walks away. He's unfit. They sound even worse, like he's almost having a panic attack. He comes back in, and even the judge asks him if he's okay, and says that this is the longest he's had to sit since the incident. That's the with the digger. Honestly, I don't care about writing down all the Melton stuff. It is very obvious they were trying to harass him, and the streams don't help him clear his name. Aaron's lawyer asks him if he's ever engaged in any harm, any activity to harm Aaron. He brings up the search history from Aaron's account. Nick says he posted it because it was the funniest thing he had heard in his entire life. Lol cuckpern while searching his name. He doesn't care who the screenshot is from. Aaron's lawyer says, you cared enough to post it. Nick says, it's really funny. Nick says he doesn't remember how he got the screenshot. Well, I mean, he got it from either his own computer when he was logged into Aaron's account or from April. That's pretty obvious. This whole conversation, Nick just filibusters and gives non-answers saying he could not have opened it. Also, Alyssa Clips is mentioned. Oh, wow. Big shout out to Alyssa Clips. 246. Aaron's lawyer asks for a quick recess. Judge takes a break too. He looks red and sweaty and tired. I mean, well, you would be pretty frustrated you have to deal with these people all day. We are back at 250. More computer shit. Nick says he didn't do it, basically. Judge asks if the clip of him talking about having access to Aaron's account was taken before or after the TRO. Nick says it must have been before because it looks haggard and that I'm much prettier now. That's a fucking boo. Oh my goodness. Referring to yourself as pretty in the courtroom. Oh, say it ain't fucking so. Say it ain't so. Nick's lawyer. Do you view porn as an embarrassing thing, Mr. Rekieta? Nick says no. Now, of course Nick says no, because he believes that it's perfectly fine for a parent to do OnlyFans, which I assume is his next logical step in his plans, except nobody's going to pay for it. Nick's lawyer then asks Nick what the definition of turbofaggot is. Nick says it's nebulous and not in the dictionary. His lawyer asks him what would cause him to call someone that. Nick says if he thinks it would be funny, he will say it. Nick's lawyer asks which people in this room does Nick think would call themselves a faggot. What? The judge immediately makes the counsel come up to the bench to discuss something with them, LOL. The judge asked for people not to say the F slur, so clearly not an iDubbbz fan. Okay. Nick says the word can't be derogatory because he doesn't care about Aaron's feelings. Nick, he said it like 5 times the whole hearing, very jarring. He says then, I also call him a misshapen, noodle-armed lumpy. No one even acknowledges this. Nick thinks sharing pornography is hilarious. Nick asked if sharing nudes is disgusting and if he would care if it happened to him, and he said he thought it would be funny and no, it would not bother him, except he made a bitch fit over our wife. Nick also then says that he wants to help men with their porn addiction. What? That's a weird... Is he trying to get a job in the courtroom? What the fuck is going on? Nick's lawyer admits Nick called him gay and apologized. He then says, I rest my case, LMAO. 3:20. Nick leaves the stand. No further questions or witnesses. No changes in the TRO until the judge decision on the August 21st. That's like the end of summer. What the fuck? Well, I guess that's the middle of summer. The end of summer is like in October, right? Beginning of October? I don't know. Nick asks about the gag order, and the judge says it's still in place. Case dismissed. Bring in the dancing lobsters. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, we've got 2 more months. 2 more fucking months. All right, I'm going to take a real quick break. Maybe like 30-second break. If I can find the... well, no, we'll just take like a 10-second break, and then we'll transition into the Lego stuff. What do we got? What do we got for the thing? I was trying to find the Baldo Ain't Streaming Tonight song, but I can't seem to find it. Never mind. We'll just play this one.
Sorry. Kiwi fags. Life doesn't work out the way you pretend it does.
All right. The next segment is now over, and hopefully we won't have to mention him again until August. But you never know. Maybe he'll crash his car again. He would be so lucky, right? All right. So going into the Bricks and Minifigs segment. Okay. Now, this is the ongoing story. There's been some developments, some big ones, but we have a couple of memes first. Of course, we have... This is the evil Joshua. My precious. The Legally Mine. Legally Mine was actually the name of his company, where I believe he was doing hostile takeovers. So he's been a piece of shit his entire fucking life. Also, big news. The Lego is going to make a commemorative set of that chonky cat to commemorate the absolute destruction of the Bricks and Minifigs company. So you can look forward to this one. All right. Now, seriously though. All right. Jokes aside. The American Forked Police Department would like you to know something. The American Forked Police Department recently discovered that files not intended for public release were uploaded to a public folder. Oh no. Say it ain't so. Upon identifying the issue, the police department promptly removed those files and conducted a review of the records associated with this matter. Following that review, under applicable law records, the law department removed all previous posted files and replaced them with files approved for public release. The files currently are the files approved for public release, and members of the public and media are asked to use those files. So they want you to look away. Don't look at all of the leaked, redacted body cam stuff, okay? That's not for your, that's not approved for you to read. They're very, very upset about that. And by the way, many Kantan gifted 10 subs over on Kick. Big support. Now, Bricks and Minifigs has a statement to make. After all of the leaked footage came out, which showed that the police were colluding with Bricks and Minifigs, and also that both Amon and Joshua were talking together about how they could get Reckless Ben arrested, they decided that it's time for a change. Evidence of negligence has been uncovered. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Brian Mansell and the Crystal Law / Gorman jointly valued the Lego collection at $95,000 to $100,000 relating to their unauthorized consignment arrangement. Corporate takes action and reaches out directly to Brian Mansell again for informal resolution. So in Salt Lake City, Bricks and Minifigs, an authorized Lego reseller, specializing in buying and trading and selling Lego products, today announced the permanent closure of its Salem, Oregon store, as well as a mutual agreement to part ways with the franchise owners Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson. Now, Brandon Best is the guy that was at the closure that you can see with Crystal. Joshua is the Golem guy. This is. Oh, I already closed the photo. Never mind. You know who it is. Due to a devastating social media campaign. While fact investigation continue, Bricks and Minifigs' current state of investigation has uncovered significant evidence of gross negligence in how the store was previously operated by the previous owners, as well as the operational gaps during the transition and subsequent management of document recovery. More importantly, BAM leadership has personally reached out to Brian Mansell and family to meet and review documentation revealed in the investigation to come to a mutual and positive resolution. Now, this is just bullshit, and they're absolutely fucking lying, and don't believe their lies, because while they're claiming that they've fired or mutually parted ways with Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson, they're still franchisees owners, and they're actually just switching to a new LLC. So it's complete bullshit. And furthermore, these people, Amon, Bricks and Minifigs, Brandon Best, and Joshua Johnson, are still co-plaintiffs in the case of their defamation filing in the complaint versus Brian, the owner of the Legos, and Reckless Ben. So this is just nothing. This is their suing for peace, and they're trying to say that basically, we're going to summarize this real quick. They're going to say that they'll drop the lawsuit if they can come to an agreement with Ben. Oh, no, sorry, not Ben. They're not dropping anything versus Ben. They probably won't. I don't see them doing that. But they're trying to get Brian out of the picture and make it seem like they're going to make Brian whole. Now that's kind of cool, the idea that Brian can be made whole, but it's not going to fucking happen. Now, the GoFundMe is up to $400,000 more or less, and apparently that money's going, all of it, directly to Brian for both covering his Lego expenses and also his legal expenses, as they're still suing him. If Bricks and Minifigs really wants to make this right, they need to offer a complete restoration of everything that Brian has had, no strings attached. Don't give him some okay, we'll give you Legos back if you apologize. No, nothing like that. This is bullshit. And I believe, yes, here we go. Yesterday, Bricks and Minifigs Corporate, along with McNeef and the Burham families who run corporate, filed for a new LLC in Oregon at the address of the BAM store in Eugene, run by Brandon and Josh. So you can see here that they closed their old LLC and they're opening a new one. So what do you mean they've split ways with Brian and Josh? Or sorry, no, Brandon and Josh. This is just all just flim. They're just trying to trick people again. Why would you believe their lies? Don't believe their lies, in fact. Now, we have a summary over on Twitter. BAM is trying to frame the case as Ben lied, harassed us, defamed us, and made people think we stole the Legos. That is a loud story. But the quiet legal pressure point is, before anyone can know whether Ben's statements were false, the court has to know exactly what happened to the Legos. That record means the key questions are, was the real legal consignment agreement? What exact Lego sets were part of it? Were those sets at the store? Were they sold? If sold, who sold them? Was Brian paid? Did BAM Corporate know about the consignment? Did Baker, Josh, Brandon receive those sets? Does the POS system actually match the alleged missing? The POS system is not a piece of shit. It's like their accounting software or whatever it is. Now, we know some of these answers. Was there a real consignment agreement? Yes, there was. And we have records of this. Furthermore, if you look at the 2023 employee, I don't want to say employee handbook, but the franchisee agreement, they are absolutely legally allowed to do consignment agreements. Bricks and Minifigures keep saying that the handbook says you're not allowed to do this, but that's a bold-faced lie because they haven't posted it yet. If it was so obvious to show, they would have posted it. And if there was some changes that made it so consignments weren't legal, point of sale, yes, point of sale system. Thank you very much. If there were some changes that occurred after the signing date of the consignment, the previous contract would still be in effect anyway, at least as I understand it. What was the exact Lego sets that were part of it? We have a complete list of the Lego sets. They're actually pretty good in recording this, and we saw some of those documents last time. Were those sets ever at the store? Yes, they were. We know this from photos. Were they sold? Now, this is actually a tricky one because it may be the case that there's more than one bad guy in this story. If you think about how this could possibly break down, you basically have three culprits. So the first culprit is Crystal Law/Gorman, and she is actually suing Bricks and Minifigs simultaneously, and she has her own lawsuit going, or at least a complaint filed back in March. She is claiming that Bricks and Minifigs did not meet their franchisee agreement, and they did not give them the tools they needed to run their franchise correctly, which then led to the dissolution of their franchise. Effectively, what she means is that she couldn't have access to the bank accounts, which prevented her from paying the franchise fees, which they then used late franchise fees as a subtext to getting rid of her franchise. Now, important thing that's come up that I've just well, I didn't just come up with it. It's actually, I think Runkle was maybe talking about it, who's had some very fantastic coverage of this case thus far, is I think he mentioned that Bricks and Minifigures actually makes more money by opening more franchises. They don't really make money by selling Lego. It's a little bit like the McDonald's movie, you know, with that Ethan Hawke or whatever it is, where they're not really in the business. Like McDonald's corporate is not in the business of selling fast food. They're in the business of selling McDonald's land and franchisees. Now, this is the funniest detail, actually, and the most important part. It's franchising one, yes, because the Bricks and Minifigures brand has been so thoroughly tarnished that it's very unlikely that they're going to be opening any new franchise stores. Like, who would want to open one in this climate? So they may have lost their entire revenue stream from this stupid decision. Now, another one that people have brought up is that maybe Bricks and Minifigures is purposely running their franchise in such a way that they're able to repossess stores so that they can sell franchisee agreements again and again and again. And there's been several different Bricks and Minifigures locations that have reported that that is the case. Certainly in Crystal's case, it is very suspicious that they would prevent her from being able to use the tools to pay both her rent and her franchisee fees, then make an agreement with them to repay them properly, however, then close her location because of said problems. It is very, very, very weird. I have to say that. It's very slimy, and they probably deserve to get all that they fucking get. So if sold, who sold them? We know now, and this is one detail that I feel was kind of lacking in the Reckless Ben documentary, is that The entire Lego set was valued around $250,000. Approximately $100,000 of that was sold. So the remaining Lego sets was equal to about $100,000 to $120,000. Of course, some of these sets are retired, so you can no longer get them, which makes them more valuable. And the price of Lego like fluctuates because these are collector items. It seems that Brian received approximately $20,000, maybe $30,000. And a large portion of the sold Lego sets, approximately $70,000 to $80,000, as far as I can see, was owed by the Bricks and Minifigures location at the time it was taken over. And there seems to be a large amount of sales happen around the Christmas period, because if you remember, it's around November when the store gets taken over. Now, Crystal was trying to pay Brian for those, but she was locked out of her accounts and also prevented from having access to the systems that would allow her to find out just how much was owed. So was Brian paid? Apparently, he's got around $20,000 to $30,000 out of the entire thing. I kind of missed a point. Sorry, I kind of missed a point, so I'll go back a bit. But basically, there's these three culprits in my mind, which we need to consider. The first culprit is BAM themselves, Bricks and Minifigures as a corporation. Did they steal this Lego intentionally as a way to prop up their store that wasn't getting a lot of income? And a lot of other franchisees have reported that like the first few days of the franchise operation, they get a lot of income, a lot of support from corporate, you know, like $16,000 a day of sales and stuff. And then it just like flatlines entirely to the point where their stores get repossessed. There seems to be a repeating pattern. So that's culprit number one. Culprit number two could be that Amon was unaware of this. This is the CEO of Bricks and Figs. However, Joshua and Brandon saw the inventory when they took over the store and decided to be a quick cash grab. So they could be separately just being pieces of shit. However, Amon did directly support them in this entire process, and he's also friends with Josh going back for a long time. I think I have a photo here, actually. Did I keep this somewhere? Maybe I did. Oh, here it is. Yes, I found it. Okay. So this is an article from, actually, is the date listed? Let me see if we just bring this all back up. There we go. Here it is. So this is from, where's the date on this thing? Fishes of Men. Okay, so this is from 2004. So you can see this photo here. Elder Amon leads a prayer for a safe ride and a successful day with ministry elder Joshua Johnson. So Amon and Josh have been members of the church and specifically close friends for a long time. You can even see them going out on their missionary biking trips. It's interesting to point that this is a detail that was also uncovered by the leaked audio recordings, where Amon identifies himself as a friend of Joshua while they're getting the police to do their dirty work for them, essentially. So that's option two. Option three is that maybe Crystal isn't being exactly honest. She could also be a naughty party in this. However, thus far, she has been revealing a lot of information, so it seems unlikely that she was intentionally stealing this money, although it's not impossible. Crystal and her husband are very cringe, but so far I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that they're actually guilty parties in this. Although it does seem that she was trying to pay out Brian on the last few days of her being there in the store, and it just hadn't happened yet. All right, so there's the three parties who could be bad. Let me know what you think in the chat. Who do you think is the most, or who is the actual guilty party? Of course, even if it was just Ben and Josh, sorry, not Ben and Josh. Why do I keep saying Brandon and Josh? Even if it was just Brandon and Josh, Bricks and Minifigs then backed them up and supported them, so they are still guilty in parts in this as well. But basically, we've got three culprits, which is Bricks and Minifigures as a corporation, Brandon and Josh as franchisees owners, and then Crystal as the previous franchise owner. And it could also be a combination, sure. All right, so let me see. Did Baker, Josh, and Brandon receive any of these sets? We know this is accurate, this is true, because photos taken on the day show that there was Lego sets that were marked with a yellow dot in the store at the time of the corporate takeover, and we saw that Crystal was walking out of the store without these sets in her possession, which means that, yes, at least at least Brandon knew about the existence of these Lego sets. Now, did he remove all of the stickers that night? But Josh is also a part owner of this franchise. So it seems like they're going on this together. It's very, very suspicious. Let me see. Does the point of sale system actually match the alleged missing sets? That's a good point that I would like to see. Unfortunately, we only have only Bricks and Minifigs have access to this because they locked her out of the system after she was removed. So the legal lens is the truth, substantial truth beats defamation. If Ben said basically they stole, mishandled, covered up Lego collections, BAM has to show that this was false. But if the accounting records are incomplete, unsigned, unclear, or missing, then the case has a problem before it even gets to the YouTuber drama. The reason these images matter is they show that BAM's own filing mentioned unsigned purported consignment agreement, refused missing business records, archived and incomplete POS records, unclear inventory categories. By the way, I find the idea of having a Lego company and not having like accurate inventory like ridiculous, because like if you've got like a store or something selling fruit, yeah, you've got like I don't know, 100 kilos of apples. You don't know how many apples there are. There's like a certain number that's going to be there. There's going to be spoilage and things like that. Okay, whatever. But like specifically with Lego sets that have like identifiers, I feel like you should have every single set that is complete or part that you have should be registered in the system. It just makes sense. Like that's just taking stock, taking inventory. It doesn't make sense to me why they would not have a perfect record of this. Inability to conform, specific products sold, then the TRO videos and takedowns. The argument is not Ben is automatically right. The argument is BAM wants the public to focus on speech, but their own filings show Discovery should focus on accounting. That's the pressure point. All right, so that gets us into the CEO, evil CEO of Bricks and Minifigs speaks up. BAM CEO Amon. By the way, Amon is just an evil name and he's got an evil mustache to match. He interviews with Fox 5. Amon addresses the allegations against Bricks and Minifigs and allegedly has been trying to help Brian Mansell with the 200,000 Lego situation. However, the reality is he was the one trying to get Ben arrested this entire time with schemes and false allegations. The newly released unredacted video proves that he is lying. We also have Trent Johnson says the Jew lawyer magic is mocking the corrupt Morgan police force. Suffer gold plate, suffer. All right. So this is the interview. We're going to watch this at 1.25 speed. There's also a new video by Ben who covers up some of the, not covers up, but he covers some of the criticism that he's received. Of course, there's a guy called Scott Schaefer, and he's kind of like a CoffeeZilla light. He's been going really hard on this case, but he's specifically pointing out the mistakes that Ben has made. And he was going really hard on the story of how Ben lied about winning in the court cases. Ben has some very good rebuttals to this, and Scott Schaefer is making an absolute tomfool of himself on online about this currently. We got a couple of chats to go over first, though. GLP with a 2 says, "You're the last person I'd watch for coverage after Nick." Okay. All right, great. I read that one. We also got stick to internet drama slop. Everyone's covering Lego. Well, no, I'm going to cover what I want to cover. And Bryn Lardon with a 2 says, ever tried potato cup curry noodle? I assume you mean they're like the Nissan ones. Maybe. They're pretty good. Also, Chorgon gifted a hype. Thank you very much. This is muted, so don't even mention that in the chat.
Well, if you've been staying with our coverage so far, you know that we reached out to Ammon McNeff, the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, to weigh in on the whole situation and a new statement released by the company. Ammon, thank you so much for joining me.
Yep, you bet.
All right, so first...
All right, here's the evil executive. I wish they'd have like a little thing that says evil executive.
Let's get to the pending litigation against the original kind of owner of this collection, Brian Mansell. Is Brian named in a lawsuit that was brought forth by Bricks and Minifigs?
Well, he is.
Yes, he's named as a party to the lawsuit that is going after the individuals who published, like the false statements regarding the situation that's gone on in Salem, Oregon, and we're trying to work through that.
Now, a detail that Brian seems to have forgotten. Sorry, Amon seems to have forgotten is that he claimed to the police in Utah, the Fort County Police, that Ben had been hired by Brian, that Ben was going to receive a portion of the funds from the recovered Legos, which is an absolute bold-faced lie he made out of whole cloth.
And that individual, is that the YouTuber who made the videos?
Yes.
Okay, so a comment I see reoccurring a lot is that this suit must be expensive, must take a whole effort from a large company. Why go this route instead of, as people say, try to just settle Brian's collection and move on and make everyone forget it? Was that ever an option?
It was an option, and it would have been the financial best option. Now, some people are saying that like Ben extorted them by saying you can do this the easy way or you can do this the hard way. And that absolutely was extortion. However, this company's been extorting people for a long time, so they can get shit on. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, they're doing something illegal, but they're doing it for a based reason. So it is very funny that he's going to be thinking about this his entire life. He's like, well, I could have just given them the Lego sets and been done with it, but he tried to save $100,000 worth of store merchandise, and it's going to cost him maybe his entire business. Because again, the Bricks and Minifigs corporate makes their money from franchise opening. They don't make it from selling Lego. The franchises make money from selling Lego, and of course, like 6% of their profits goes through to corporate. This is a disaster for them, and I don't see there's any way out for him, really.
Oh, we've been working to try and work with Mr. Mansell for a good little while. We've asked for documentation as far back as a year ago, but we continue to reach out to try and get towards a resolution with the Mansell family on this matter.
And have you and Mr. Mansell ever talked directly one-on-one?
Not as of yet. I have sent direct messages to the Mansell family and to Mr. Mansell's.
Why didn't you do this before YouTubers got involved? Now, when he's saying that, like, the Mansell is Brian, the owner of the Legos, Brian was being trespassed from the store as early as, I believe, December, the day after the store changed hands, because he showed up at the store with his manifest list of what he was owed and what sets were his. And at that point, he was angry. And yeah, you would be angry if you'd lost all of this shit. They were being aggressive to him from day one. So this is just like, can you just stop? He's also talked about how he was trying to contact them for years before even bringing in these YouTubers. We got potentially criminal, Sean says. You're not going to believe this, guys, but we magically found the documents that prove Mansell's were right after all of these. What a funny, weird coincidence.
Specifically seeking to have a sit-down meeting, meet at the table, and go over all the documentation that we have, and to be able to talk through. And from our side of things, if there have been any missteps through the transition of the store, we want to make things right. We want to do what's right by the customer. But all we asked for was documentation, and every time we asked for that up to this point, we seem to kind of then.
And these are kind of weasel words, because these corporate companies always do this. They're always like, oh, we're just asking for the right documents, but you never have the document that they want. Brian has a list of every single Lego he sent to their store, as well as photograph documenting this being the case. But that's not good enough for them. They want something that he really can't provide. And they know that they do this. They dick them around for as long as possible, because they thought, like, well, we'll make this difficult. We'll make legal threats. And Kai, one of the members of corporate, literally said in the videos that we saw last time versus Crystal, he said, if you do this, we're going to make this difficult for you. It's going to be very expensive. It's going to be very hard. And then they rang Crystal's husband rang up again and asked, did you talk to her or talk at her? They're like, no, we talked at her. This is going to be shit for you if you try and engage legal things. So just stop. Just stop pretending. Okay.
Lose the connection.
So you've offered Brian the inventory of sets that was in the store.
Yeah, whatever was left over.
Again, like, whatever was left over, or nothing's left over, okay, I guess you get nothing.
We've offered that on multiple occasions. And then, like, if there was anything that had been done that was untoward by the previous franchisee, if that individual had sold more than they let on. And
now what they're trying to do here is they're trying to incriminate Crystal. They want to say it's all Crystal's fault.
Did not pay Mr. Mansell. We've offered to compensate him for the loss of the compensation that should have been given to him. So we've tried to make multiple offers, and hopefully we'll be able to get them to the table so we can discuss it.
As far as offering Brian the inventory, have you gone through the store, figured out what was part of his collection, taken inventory, and shown him that inventory to offer that?
So again, as this situation unfolded, and as additional investigations have continued to evolve, so we could find out where there was a miscommunication, there was some initial findings and discovery of, like, hey, these seem.
Almost certainly he was lowballing them. I think what happened is when this started to gain traction, they offered him whatever was left in the store, which is probably like one Boba Fett or something. That's not going to be good enough. This man is missing approximately $100,000 worth of his property. And, like, some people make this like seem like it's like it's just Legos. It's like, it's just your property. Just say property. His stuff. And this also comes off the back of these other videos exposing Bricks and Minifigs of being just, I mean, to be fair, any company that offers trade-ins is going to try and, like, actually rape you, like, with 5% of the value or 10% of the value or something. And they're all like, anything like that. But you actually have a video of a guy that like misplaced a $1,000 C3PO that just happened to be the most expensive minifigure in the thing. It's not looking fucking good.
To match some of the things that were being stated, but we don't have any indication otherwise. We were able to determine some other indicators later. And so all of those were set aside to say, hey, these may match. So let's set them aside in case, like he can, like we can work together. Those then were offered to him, and the initial offer was rejected. But then as we've continued, we found additional documentation.
GLP says, what are you adding to this topic? You're literally watching Fox coverage with no original, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I've been pausing and interjecting with additional details in my opinion the entire time through this clip, and we've only got 3 minutes into it. If you can't see that, then I don't know how you got this money to donate in the first place. Maybe it's from your government tugboat, I don't know, but thank you for the 5. You're literally watching it. Stick to pure internet slop rather than national news. Nah, I'll do what I want. But you're welcome to send more $5. Just don't spend your entire month's a tugboat, bro.
That shows where there were separate sets of books and spreadsheets being kept between, or from the former franchisee. And so as those things have come to light, we've tried to share those with Mr. Mansell in hopes that he can see.
Now, this is, again, a lie, because after the incident on the store in November, actually, I think it was in November 1st, and then it's leading into December of 2024. This is after Crystal left the store. The day after, Brian was there trying to get his stuff back. The first time they called the cops on him. The next time he came back, he was trespassed.
Like that we were not attempting in any way, shape, or form to withhold anything that we could verify, and that we do want to help him recover as much of the collection. Now, the initial number was...
GLP says he has an actual job. Do I have to read every B if I want the full $2?
Promotional, but the actual factual information
factual. That's a fun way to say.
The value of the more realistic value of the collection was closer to about $100,000, which is what the documentation that we've been able to determine that both parties.
Well, this is actually the first somewhat accurate thing he said, because the remaining Lego set in the store was approximately $100,000. I think some people have estimated closer to $125,000, but again, there's like the low price you get and the high price. It depends on the time of the year and the availability of the sets and everything.
To that consignment agreement, kind of had an understanding between each other that was the actual real value.
So you dipped a bit into this new statement, and this concerns the previous owner of the franchise on the Kaiser branch. So tell me a little bit about what you guys found.
So, our franchise operates on the buy, sell, trade model for Lego. We love Lego and everything that it stands for. And so...
not quite as much as they love money, though.
But we know that consignment agreements can be very difficult. And so we make sure that in our operations manual, through all of our training, we train all franchisees that consignment is not part of our model. It's written into the operations manual.
Now, he has not shown the operation manual. This may very well be the case, that is now in the operation. But what's important is what was in the operation manual at 2023 when this contract was signed. Now, lawyers have gone through the original franchisee agreement and found no issue with offering consignments. In fact, it seemed to be part of their business model from the beginning.
It's trained on...
These Lego Smorg. All right, that's pretty good.
Explicit. However, unfortunately, we had a franchisee go rogue, and...
It's a rogue franchisee. She's out of control.
Enter into a consignment agreement without our knowledge or authorization, and then...
Did she need to have it, though? As a franchisee owner, isn't it her purview about who she offers consignments to? Or I would assume that is the case, at least based on the franchisee agreement.
It appears that may not have been honored with the person that she had entered into that consignment agreement with. And then...
Again, just trying to push the blame onto Crystal, who we actually have footage of her trying to make it right, because she's printing out the receipts of the inventory lists and actually mentioning to Brandon Best when he's taking over the store, and you've got Kai on the phone, that she has not paid him for that month. Because as we've learned later, Brian was getting he already had $20,000 to $30,000 worth of the merchandise that was sold. He was still owed approximately $80,000, and that's what Crystal was trying to ascertain when the store was changing hands.
Through other...
Now, was she supposed to pay this through her own funds? I don't think so. It would be through the store bank account, clearly. But we know that there's also issues with the store bank account being taken away from her, which is what was the actual beginning issue with her franchise when she first took it over anyway. Because she was originally just an employee at that Bricks Minifigs. I believe she was the manager, actually, which is why she offered to take over the franchise location.
circumstances, we ended up retaking over that store, and in the shuffle, there appears to have been just some confusion as to how, why, and where like some of this came about. And as we
Crystal is a piece of shit too. I have my doubts about Crystal. I'm going to be honest. However, I think she's done a good faith reveal of information thus far. But if it turns out that she was also taking money under the table, or if she did do some shady stuff with the consignment, I wouldn't be surprised. It's definitely a possibility. But I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt at the moment, since she is providing all of this information. And furthermore, from her photos, we know for a fact that there was a large amount of these Lego sets still in the store at the time she surrendered the keys. So it's possible that she was also a criminal in this, but not the sole bad guy. She's also got like a husband as like a bit of a character. I'll say that. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the story, but her husband's a bit of a weirdo. And they fled to Spain because they thought they were going to be persecuted for writing Antifa handbooks, which, again, it's not important. It doesn't matter. It is just funny. It's a weird, funny detail on the side.
Tried to figure that out. We started uncovering more documents, more information. And what we found was that there were 3 separate sets of records that were being kept that shows that Mr. Mansell was significantly underpaid by that former franchise.
But that's because they took over the store before he was paid for that month. And of course, it was leading up into the Christmas period. So that would be a large amount of sales in that time frame of the year. It's kind of unfair, right? Like, take away her bank account to prevent her from being able to pay the man before the end of the month, because it was like, what, the 22nd? And I would assume that the payments come at the end of the month, because that's how much basically everything does it, right? We got Bubba Fat with a 07 with a 5. Crystal wasn't necessarily doing malicious activity. Signs point to bad record keeping and business practices. She was absolutely... There was absolutely mistakes in the consignment agreement, in that it seems like they just downloaded it from Google and they didn't have like a proper legal expert look at it. I can guarantee, like, I can agree with that. I don't think she was doing anything malicious necessarily. Maybe just ignorant is a better word. However, it would not surprise me if it did come out she was doing something malicious at this point. So maybe it'll come out in part 3. We don't know. I mean, I think at this point, it has to go all to discovery and lay everything on the table so that we can just see, because there are 2 lawsuits. There's the one of Bricks Minifigs plus Eamon, Brandon, and Josh versus Ben and Brian. And then there is Crystal and her husband versus Bricks Minifigs.
And so we've been trying to make sure that we can properly do like a forensic accounting and make sure everything is being looked at properly, so that we can work together to get that family resolution.
And we, for our part, will reach out to those parties as well. You mentioned a couple terms I want to get into.
Don't trust them. They blame shifting. Well, they're absolutely trying to do that. They're absolutely trying to do that. However, we know for a fact that at the very least, Brandon stole Lego sets. Brandon or the store, and the store being the corporate store or the franchise store, stole Lego sets because those sets were on Crystal's photos on the day that she was evicted, on the day she lost her access to the site, on the day she lost her keys, because she's handing the keys to them. She's carrying out a little rainbow bag. She's not seen carrying any Legos. Now, they will put one caveat there, in that it was allegedly an 80 minutes, more or less, of from 7, I think it's from like 7:30 to like 8:50 or something, that the takeover takes place during. We've only seen like 3 minutes of this footage. If it comes out that during those missing minutes, Crystal is carrying Lego sets out the door, that'll be very, very interesting and very bad for this case. I don't think we're going to see that, though, because if that footage existed, obviously Bricks and Minifigs would have posted this already so that we could see it. We got friend of the channel, GLP, with a 2 saying, do some original research, look up Denton rates. Okay, I'll do that later. Thank you.
The franchisee agreement was not honored. Does that mean you're saying Mr. Mansell was underpaid by the franchisee?
From what we can tell, yes. The documentation that we...
Now, to be fair, this is accurate, but not for her own fault, I would imagine, because like I said, they had not paid out Brian for that month, but she wouldn't have the ability to do so without the information that they removed from her possession, and also the corporate bank accounts would allow her to actually pay it.
We've been able to pull out from a couple of different sources indicates that more sets were sold than were reported to him, and from that unauthorized consignment agreement, but that the overall payments to him did not
By the way, saying unauthorized consignment agreement is such slimy behavior, because if she was the manager of the store, she would have the authority to offer a consignment agreement. It doesn't have to. Every agreement doesn't have to be operated and authorized by corporate. That's why they're a franchise. But if you take over the franchise and all of their liabilities, then yes, you inherit that contract.
Not match what had been sold.
You don't just get to keep all the fucking shit. There was a good analogy from the last stream that was made where it's like, if you're renting a property and you're evicted, the landlord just doesn't get to keep all of your furniture, essentially, right?
Through the store under the previous.
Provided it's your furniture, obviously. If it's like, if it's a furnished apartment, that's different.
Okay. You hinted at the circumstances by which the franchise was taken over. Now, this, I'm sure, is the thing you've been asked a million times. Do you want to get into it all, that security camera footage? And you said in the new statement, I believe it is that Bricks and Minifigs did not know about this consignment agreement at any point before that security camera footage was taken. Is that true?
Correct, yes.
This is, wait, I'm going to go back and hear this because there's no way he just said yes to this.
Know about this consignment agreement. It is that Bricks and Minifigs did not know about this consignment agreement at any point before that security camera.
Okay, no, that's fair to say before this agreement.
Footage was taken. Is that true?
Correct, yes.
Although I don't necessarily believe that, because if you're ringing up to take over a franchise, you would think they would mention it, something like that, since it is such a large portion of their store's inventory.
Okay, so what does this change?
Now, before, I'd agree with that, but after or during the events, corporate at Bricks and Minifigs absolutely knew, because Kai was on the phone call acknowledging it, as well as Brandon Best, who was part of Bricks and Minifigs corporate, and then later the franchisee part owner.
In terms of the case, if I'm a regular Bricks and Minifigs enjoyer, and I'm looking at all of these videos, all of this coverage, what would you want me to think now that I know that Bricks and Minifigs corporate didn't know about the franchisee agreement before the change of hands?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is knowing that obviously this took place in 2023. And since then, we have been continuously working to tighten our oversight with our franchisees, make sure that we have more field agents capable of making more field visits and doing field audits to look at records, documents, things along those lines to understand what's really happening in each of the locations. So all
right, so I'll just pause for a second. Does the kid ask him about the gold figure being stolen? No. However, that video, while very sus, could be explained by error. And I can believe that is what corporate would say. It's like, well, it was just a mistake. This doesn't happen all the time. If that kid could have got 2 or 3 instances of mysterious figures being stolen, that would have been better. However, I do know that Bricks and Minifigures has actually reached out to that kid and told him. So the kid that, like, remember we watched the video where the kid has like a little set of Legos and it's like $600 plus a $1,000 C3PO. And he takes it around to show how much every Bricks and Minifigures store offers him. And they offer him between 5 and 20%, which is kind of honest for like trade-ins. I mean, not honest, but like standard for trade-ins. However, Bricks and Minifigs claim that they offer you 40 to 50%, which is just not going to happen on a trade-in before, right? So that kid, he received a message from Bricks and Minifigs, and they said, look, kid, you know, we've worked with you in the past. We just wanted to call you and say that, well, you're not part of the lawsuit at the moment, but that could change. So they were literally threatening this kid already to say, like, you better stop talking about Bricks and Minifigs. Otherwise, be a real shame if something happened to your channel or something got a little bit of summons in your mailbox. Absolute slime behavior. We got Atomic Citizen with a rage quit saying, rage on the haters. We got Trent Johnson saying, super chat on kicks so I can keep more of the money, boys. Much appreciated. And Chorgon gifted a kick. Much appreciated.
Increased the oversight with our franchise system, and that is, I think, a really big important part
for
everything, so that customers know that franchisees will be following the rules.
When I say that BAM worked with him, what I mean is like they usually collaborate with sort of things and like that. Like, you know, they're like, okay, you can come to our location and film and that sort of stuff, or like a sponsored content videos and things
of the franchise system, providing better protections to the end customers when they come in.
All right, and just to wade a little bit into that, we have a couple Bricks and Minifigs in the area. A lot of people have seen this story, and they are worried now. What are the steps that corporate can take to dissuade fears here? Is it taking legal action here?
I think the most important thing is to ensure that we are protecting our franchisees, and that the safety of our stores is our number one priority. Or the safety of our franchisees, the customers, their families, everything. That's our number one priority. And so ensuring that people are held accountable for making false statements and like taking advantage of other people's circumstances in this matter. That's why we've taken the legal action that we have, is to hold people accountable.
But I mean, okay, if you want to hold Reckless Ben accountable, I mean, it's a terrible fucking move, but okay. But you've still got, as of this date, they still have Brian is on the lawsuit, named as a defendant, and you still have Joshua and Brandon, who you've split ways with, as co-plaintiffs. It's not a good faith effort.
But at the same time, we're also willing to sit down and work through things and make sure that we can just take anything that is something that we can work together on. I think that will help us resolve any issues that we have. And if we can make sure that people know that we're not going to sacrifice the safety of our franchise locations, then that will, I think, help now and in the future.
So this is one. What about Josh and Brandon saying they had none of Brian's sets and Brandon said he had no knowledge of the consignment? I mean, they've just been caught lying multiple times, obviously. Not only this, but you actually have Josh on camera saying that they still had the Lego sets and that they would hand them over to Ben, which never happened. Of course, they were just trying to stall for time. That seems to be the plan here, is that they heard about a guy that was dying. He didn't have much longer to live. And they thought that maybe they could just get a quick little payday or something. Who knows, right? Maybe the dad dies. Maybe the son gets tired. He can't afford to pay for it. Certainly the threats from Kai and corporate saying, like, this is going to be real rough for you, that sort of stuff implies that that's what their plan was. It's very, very shady. And they're finally getting their dues, and they deserve it.
What are you asking Brian Mansell?
Well, our number one priority in this entire situation is and has been to ensure that anybody, including Mr. Mansell and his family, they are treated fairly.
Now, I hate it when they say this, because there's multiple instances where Brian reached out to them and he was given the boot. When he had the police called on him, when he was trespassed, he was ignored. He was never given time to explain his side of the story or get what was owed to him. It's ridiculous. And even, like, as shown in the documentary, they have this like huge inventory of these like retro / discontinued retired Lego sets that as soon as the store franchise is taken over, they start advertising on their Facebook to try and move this product. It just came out of thin air. They just get to have it. No, that's not how it works. The reason that Brian, I got it right that time. I'm just so used to getting it wrong. The reason that Brian had to reach out to the wider audience, and he didn't go to Reckless Ben first, by the way. He went to this like Lego podcast, and one of the viewers of this Lego podcast reached out to Ben because he apparently has a lot of experience with taking on these sort of corrupt corporations. I'm actually going to check out some of his other content privately, maybe after the stream even. Like, he didn't just go to this guy and it's like, here, I'll give you half of the Legos. No, he didn't do that. He tried to bring this when he was ignored, when he was blocked. He couldn't even, like, his number was blocked. He couldn't contact them by any way, by any means. It's ridiculous. He went to the Lego community and they talked about it and he tried to get his story out there, and the right person saw it and sent it to Ben, and that's what started all of this. And now you want to complain? This is, I mean, what do you say except you get what you fucking deserve?
And so as we've gone through the documents and as we've looked at everything, our number one priority right now is to ensure that he gets made whole. With the underreporting that took place and the documents that we now have that shows what actually went on, we know that we have a responsibility to work with him to make sure he does get made whole. And so we're working towards that, and we're hoping that he'll be able to come to the table. We're excited to be able to make that happen. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows that we're working diligently to...
Is Amon a lawyer, or does he have a bad consultant for this interview? I think they're working with a PR company, but it seemed like his first response was like grok generated. It was kind of crazy. You could almost see the M dashes of what he was saying. They were almost certainly working with a PR company, but this is still so bad. It's such an easy thing to fix. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much unrecoverable, but at the time, it would have been so easy to fix.
Get him to the table so that we can get that taken care of.
Now you say make whole. Will that include saying, hey, 780 sets, 1,200 minifigs. We're going to tell you what we have where. We're going to tell you what we think was sold. Does that come with making him whole?
Yes. Yep. Being able to show all the documents, and if he was, you know, like, again, as we believe through the documentation, not paid the way that he should have been, then we would cover the difference.
All right, Mr. Ammon McNeff, CEO of Bricks and Minifigs. Thank you.
All right. So not a lot in that. Now, there's actually an interesting side note to all of this. This is just a bit of a funny one. Is that CoffeeZilla is, and I've got this muted specifically, okay, chat, so I'm going to talk over him. So CoffeeZilla is on the case of this as well. He's interviewed apparently every one of the executives from Lego. Well, not really, but like apparently he's talking to Amon, he's talking to Crystal, he's talking to Reckless Ben, he's talking to Brian. And apparently in the next few days, his story will be out there. But a side to this story is that people are now taking vigilante justice to their own Bricks and Minifigs, and it's getting ridiculous. Like, I can understand that everyone wants justice, but don't just take it on a random franchisee's owners. That's just like unhinged behavior. It's gotten to the point, there's like 2 different cams they have where there's like people are going in there and like trying to, like, where the fuck are the Legos? This is kind of like that guy that showed up with the AK at the Planet Pizza, and is like, where's the fucking basement? It really is unhinged behavior. Then there was actually an altercation with this is all blurred though, because there's like fighting happening in this. You expected this? I mean, it was kind of expected, I guess. Like, you've got millions of people seeing this, and it's a very emotional story. People are, of course, going to try and take justice in their own hands. So this guy came into this store and started harassing one of the owners. And then this guy, this big, tall guy, tried to intervene. And there's like a little altercation here where he's like, well, you didn't even work here. And he's like, well, neither do you. And they start fighting. And funnily enough, the big guy actually gets his shit pushed in to the point where he's got like a bloody, like it goes to a full-on brawl where they're like rolling around. And like he's like bloodied up, and the Lego vigilante gets away with it. But basically, this is just a plea for sanity from CoffeeZilla, saying like, guys, just stop, don't go in there and try and exact your own justice. Don't be the Lego Punisher sort of thing. So that's kind of happening on the sidelines while Coffee's getting his video prepared. All right. So this leads into answering your questions. This is from Ben Schneider, and he's covering some of the criticism that he was received. And actually, I think he generally does give some good answers for this. So let's see what he has to say.
In this video, I'll be trying to answer some of the top questions the internet has about this whole Lego.
This is on his side channel, by the way. If you haven't seen it, if you subscribe to Reckless Ben and you're wondering why, it's because it's on the Ben Schneider channel. So I'm going to subscribe to that right now so I don't miss any of these updates.
Thing that's been going on. Probably the number one question I've been asked is, why didn't you just get a lawyer?
Why not just get a lawyer that you like and just go get a fucking restraining order, a TRO to, an injunction.
Yeah, because there's never any shenanigans with TROs, as we've learned tonight,
to prevent them from doing anything with the Legos. I mean, now you basically have lured this queen of Legos that you've crowned into the fucking woods and doing all this crazy shit.
Well, first off,
now there's I've been watching the Restless Ben community talk about this for a while, and there's a very strong "we hate lawyers" segment of their community. So let me think what you guys think. Do you think that Ben was acting with what he had is press 1, or 2 for he should have just got a lawyer? Ben is going to explain how he didn't want to use a lawyer because, first of all, he couldn't fucking afford it, and second of all, he wanted to show that he could, like a little guy could go in there and try and fight against one of these big corporate entities without needing like a giant legal team. It seems like there's a lot of lawyer hate in his community, though, I have noticed. I mean, I hate lawyers too, and most of my friends are lawyers, so there you go.
When I made this video, I didn't have nearly enough money for a lawyer. Basically, my entire YouTube career has just been demonetized. My last video got taken down, incorrectly taken down. Shadow ban me. YouTube keeps taking down all my videos. There are 3 of my videos. Right now, I'm 100% censored. Basically,
that's pretty crazy, honestly. Like how many he's got ineligible.
My entire YouTube career, I've been demonetized, and my videos just get taken down for no reason because I'm always going up against like powerful corporations. I've only ever been able to afford like rent and basic food, and like that's it pretty much. So getting a lawyer for this video was not really an option. And if I just got a lawyer, I wouldn't be able to show how corrupt this company is because the lawyers would have just talked it out. Basically, the whole point of my channel.
I mean, that's a really good point, though. Like, if they actually did involve a lawyer, the story wouldn't have been as sensationalized. And this is like kind of the catch-22, is without his humor, without his editing, without his shenanigans, without his speedos, without his lotteries, then this wouldn't be the story that it was. But the catch there is that because he did all those things, will it ultimately affect the outcome of this lawsuit? Now, I think it seems that the groundswell of like of public involvement is almost assuringly that this will end in a happy story for at least Brian. Hopefully Ben can get away with this too, but we'll have to see. Manny gifted a almost 300 rupees saying, Legos are drug mule currency. Suffer, Josh. What? Okay. Thank you.
It's kind of just like showing how these big corrupt companies can just take advantage of the small guy. And once you get lawyers involved, you don't really get to see that as much, I guess. Basically, I wanted to say,
because a lawyer is gonna tell you not to do anything you did in your YouTube video, which is very boring. It may be the correct course of action, but I don't know, like I definitely think in theory, if you know, it's such a hard, you know, like, I want to make a statement. However, the reality is that sometimes you have to take justice into your own hands, which is a crazy thing to say, maybe, but maybe not so crazy. Because I believe that the law, I don't really give a shit about the law. I care about what's just. If a law is unjust, I don't think the law should exist, and I won't follow that law. The cameras, I know the camera is fucking munted. It is what it is. And they did try to go through the proper avenues at first, and they were shut down. And when you have no other avenues available to you, what do you do? If Bricks and Minifigs was reasonable from the outset, this wouldn't have been an issue. So I kind of come to the conclusion that you get what you fucking deserve. Next slide, please. Fuck. Look. Just imagine you're watching the Spider-Verse. You know, when it starts off, it's like 10 frames per second because Miles Morales isn't like used to being Spider-Man. Then it like jumps up to 24 frames per second as he finds his groove. That's going to happen on one of these streams.
Lego video to be from the perspective of just some average person that a company's
the payout for the Legos with less. Well, that's another thing as well. It's like this company could have buried him for years. They actually did dare him. So I have no sympathy for Bricks and Minifigs. Not that anybody does. But like they said, this is going to be expensive if you want to bring a lawsuit. You don't want that. They threatened them first. So, you know, you play silly games, you win silly prizes. But that's true. The cost of the lawyers would have been more than the cost of Legos. We've got Jamie with a 14 ZARs. He says, use code criminal at the Dragon's Treasure T. Ooh woo. I think you mean you can get criminal savings with code COPE. I'm gonna make a bunch of fucking meme videos showing the Dragon's Treasure. There's no way we can't let those Sean people win. The Sandwich Army is advancing and getting closer to my goal of selling the most tea this year. I'm currently winning. Maybe not now. I don't even know anymore. Actually, I have no idea how much we even sold. But use code COPE on the Dragon's Treasure for criminal savings. A haven for anime and tea lovers. Enjoy your Legos while drinking some Dragon's Treasure.
Bullying without any resources, and can this average person stand up to a corporation without a lawyer? You know, like, can we be creative and somehow stand up to this corporation, you know, to incentivize maybe a lot of people watching that don't have lawyers? Can we incentivize those people to go out and maybe stand up to the big guy? You know, if you're in school, like,
I mean, the thing is, when fighting like an insurmountable enemy, you do have to use like asymmetric combat and guerrilla warfare and things like that, and that's exactly what happened here.
Someone's bullying you, like, maybe stand up to the bully. Like, you have more power than you think, you know? And I think just getting a lawyer involved would have, like, basically thrown that whole message in the garbage. So that's why I didn't really get a lawyer. The next one, why did you talk to the police? My first guy.
Remember, whatever you do, don't talk to cops, even if they get you on illegal stops.
To the detective room, I was under the assumption that they were going to throw me in jail for maybe a month without bail for all these crimes that I just didn't commit. Like, they thought I was the one that stole the Legos. Like, they thought we had heroin in our car. Like, they thought all this stuff was untrue. And if I don't say anything, then I'm automatically screwed, is what they made it seem like.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the thing is, he was always going to go to jail no matter what. So if he shut up, he would have probably been fine either way. I watched the entire hour, I think it's like an hour, 30 minutes of the interview with Ben, where it includes the entire footage from this room, as well as the ride to the jail. And it's actually kind of wholesome, to be honest. But he shouldn't have given him all these details. Like, they were just looking for magic words that they could use to hold him. And if he had just said, look, I'm not talking without a lawyer, you can either detain me or I can go home, maybe they would have let him out. We don't know. Trent Johnson with a $50 says, you, the viewer, get criminal savings when you use code COPE at checkout at the Dragon's Treasure. Suffer, Sandwich Man. I mean, that's you know, you could have got $5 savings if you use code COPE at the Dragon's Treasure with just that super chat. That's a lot of tea. Thank you very much. Big support for the Lego segment.
To speak with me.
I'm assuming if I say no, then I go to jail.
I mean,
Even Sean, look at Sean. He's using code COPE as well.
Yeah, I can't. I have to ask you some questions. I'm confused with.
I hate this. I hate this policeman so much. He's, I'm just asking questions, just trying to be your friend. Then records him while he's taking a piss. The police mute their own body cams when they're talking about how they hate these guys and how they're going to turn off their cameras and how they used to do hydro with the Airbnb that ratted on these guys for their search warrant, their dodgy fucking search warrant. But they don't mute their body cam when this guy's taking a piss. They had to get that on. The cops are pervert. Yes, indeed.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think there's a lot of like lies going around. I can see I can clear stuff up. But if I talk and show them that it's all misunderstanding, then I can get let free. So
yeah, that just never works. You can't convince the cops of shit.
So I basically gave like an hour and a half long spiel, and they couldn't find anything really that I was doing that was illegal except for the GoFundMe. And they're like, yeah, you made this GoFundMe. And I personally thought that a GoFundMe was a safe, legal way to raise money for a family.
It is. It was bullshit. That's why you're taken out of jail.
But I guess it turns out not in the state of Utah. But also it kind of goes back to the previous statement where it was like, I want to show the injustice of.
This is such a vindictive comment. I hope Ben starts to lose his hair. Do you know that Ben and I are both in our 30s? Like, I thought this guy was like 21 or something. Like, everyone's like, this kid was making mistakes. No, this guy, I think he was born in 1995. All right. I mean, he is like, what did someone call it before? Napoleon Bonaparte. Wait, Napoleon Dynamite Maxing. That's what they were calling him. I'm not 57. I'm in my 30s. Okay. We're both, me and Reckless Ben are just two 30-year-old dudes. Okay. Wait until I grow my hair out, then I'll look young too. Okay, chat.
The police department, you know, like I'll sacrifice like me going to jail if it gets to show the world like, look at what the police are trying to do. You know what I mean? If I was just...
I mean, this is the thing I've noticed, but Ben's move was definitely the kamikaze attack. He admitted on camera he was going to do something illegal, specifically to get a lot of attention. And it's working so far, and I'm just hoping that it works out for him in the end. We got Stingy Monkey with a 2, says, look at the Brick of Mormon by Skybrows. I might check that out at the end of the stream. We'll see.
Stay quiet, then where's the story in that? Like, what are we exposing now? You know, it's like nothing would have happened. So it's like, if I talk to the police and they find some crazy reason to throw me in jail, now I get to be like, hey, look how corrupt our police department is. Maybe we can change something. And so that was kind of...
I will say one thing. Like, when you watch his interview body cam footage that was released now, like, now obviously Ben had no idea that this was going to be released after the fact. However, in the footage, even though he is talking to the cops, and which is a bad move, he is very friendly and he does stand up for his friends. Like, he seems most concerned about his friends that are going to be arrested when they're just, he's like saying like, no, it was just me. They were just like some random people I met on Instagram. I've got to meet my friend at the airport at 8:30. Like, he does seem like to be a very wholesome guy, which the body cam revealed to me.
My thought process, but yeah, on to the next question.
Yeah, I'm in my
so Bricks
30s.
Minifigs is suing me because they said my entire documentary is just full of lies. And then when I ask them like what the lies are, the one thing they always point to is that I sued a fake LLC and this whole lawsuit was completely fake. A lot of people on the internet went out and started looking up the court records and they saw that I sued a company called L2 Bricks LLC when the company I should have sued was Baker Bricks LLC.
This is the Scott Schaefer thing, and I'll just bring this up real quick. Because Scott Schaefer is taking an absolute L on this. Where is it? Scotty Scheffler? That's not who I want. Hold on. I know I've got a link to this real quick. Because I posted this one, right? All right, so Scott Schaefer is just being the contrarian cringe guy. And you can see here he's got his video. I lied. Reckless Ben just admitted he was wrong and I was right. On his second channel, he comes clean that he sued the wrong company, never won any court cases, and all his cases were dismissed by default. Thousands of people left comments claiming I was wrong and even someone threatening my life, and now all of them look dumb as fuck. This is perhaps one of the stupidest takes you could take. Yes, Ben was wrong. in that he did not actually win his default judgment cases. However, he has a very good explanation for this that he puts up in this video. And this even got community noted saying, in the referenced video, Ben explains he sued the wrong LLC after court advised him and a company loophole, but clarifies the initial default judgment was valid, denies lying, and is pursuing a personal lawsuit. So it's like, it's a bit of an L by Scott Schaefer boy. He's like, and this is one of those like clear mistakes that you're making, like the Lego company making the clear mistake of not just giving them Legos back. This guy, Scott Schaefer, is making a clear mistake by trying to double down on how he was technically correct when it's very cringe, as we'll say.
When he called lawsuit was completely fake. A lot of people on the internet went out and started looking up the court records, and they saw that I sued a company called L2 Bricks LLC.
Who is Scott again? Scott Schaefer is basically like, it's like CoffeeZilla's little brother, where he wants to be CoffeeZilla and he's imitating CoffeeZilla, but he's just not quite as influential at the moment. Like CoffeeZilla's obviously millions of subscribers. Scott Schaefer's got like about 100,000, something like that. But he does very similar content where he's like exposing scams. I think it's mostly talking about cryptos and stuff. All right.
When the company I should have sued was Baker Bricks LLC.
As well as some of like the claims he made about the small claims court default judgment victory, things like that. All of that is what's now being thrown into a bit of disarray. I'm curious to see Ben's response to it.
Charlie made a video before Reddit formed their opinion, so he's made a bit of an oopsie daisy here.
To give his side of things on that conversation.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just check something real quick. Because I'm looking at the videos that Ben has watched. I just want to see something. Yes, I was right. Okay. So of the videos that Ben is watching, apart from Charlie, his second most recommended video is this exposed video. This video is by Legal Mindset, but he only watched the first minute and then he stopped watching it. So I guess he doesn't like Legal Mindset very much. That's unfortunate. Of course, every time we mention him, we've got to play his theme song.
Legal Mindset! Legal Mindset! Legal dick suckers, more like it.
That's, you see the exposed thing here? That is this video here. Exposed. Lawyer reacts to the unredacted Bricks and Minifigs body cam, changes everything. Although, to be fair, if you watch a video and you go back to a different segment in the video, it just plays where the red dot is, like where you left the video, not if you've actually watched the whole video. I just wanted to play the theme song for Legal Mindset, obviously.
Now. So after we got the 10 people that were down to sue Bricks and Minifigs, I looked up what LLC we should sue them for. And when I looked them up on the Oregon Business Registry website, there was no LLC for this address. I mean, there was like Bricks L2 LLC that ended in 2024 when corporate took over the store, but then they didn't add a new LLC after that. And I was like, what the heck? So I called up the court and the court told me, oh, I guess there's no LLC for this company. If that's the case, then you just sue the previous LLC and the whole court thing will still work. So basically, if I sue that LLC, then since that was the last LLC at that address, then I will technically be suing that company that's operating out of that address since that was the last LLC that was there. So this whole thing happens. We sue, they never don't answer. We get motion for default judgment.
If they didn't respond, you can move forward with a motion for default judgment.
Yeah, and this is kind of an artifact of the videos coming out like in a staggered, like 1, 2, 3 episode format. At the time this was filmed, Ben was under the assumption that he had one based on previous experience with his. He's going to mention all this, so I don't need to really repeat it. But at the time, it was a true thing to believe. It just so happened that he did sue the wrong LLC because of essentially a clerical error, and also the court advised him that he should take this path of action. Now, if he had a lawyer, would he have made this mistake? Maybe not. So maybe that's on Ben. But I actually find this to be a very reasonable explanation, and it definitely gives you more confidence in Ben in this, because I was kind of concerned with some of the mistakes he was making. This has been giving me a bit of a boost in the old confidence rating. We got many Kantan says Ben might actually go to jail or face fines, but if Brian is made whole, I guess Ben will be tribute. Well, that's what he's planning to do. He's planning to give all of the GoFundMe money to Brian to both make him whole for the Legos and also cover any and all legal expenses. And his entire goal here is to get Brian removed from the lawsuit so that it's just Bricks and Minifigs versus Reckless Ben. And at that point, Reckless Ben is going to have to be served by Bricks and Minifigs. Now, since Reckless Ben has an LLC, maybe they don't have to serve him in person, but it seems like he's going to make this as difficult and drawn out and as public as he can. He's going to have content for years. Like if he's getting millions, like if he's getting 3 million views per of these videos every single fucking time, he's going to be able to afford the lawyers. It's not going to be a great thing to have in the public eye. They want to make this go away. So he is doing a kamikaze felt attack, which is very effective. And I hope it works out for him, because apparently previously, like as we noticed, a lot of his videos would be demonetized. He wasn't even making rent. Now he's actually getting some money for maybe the first time in his life, which is great for him. I mean, he's getting a lot of money on Patreon, even though they're trying to take that down. And the video itself was being hit by all of these privacy complaints and demonetization attempts. That's why there's all those weird artifacts in the video, because he had to remove those for like these fraudulent privacy complaint, like slop attacks, which is something that we've seen from the quartering recently as well. And it's just like the new landscape. It's absolutely disgusting. Also, SP Spellers gifted 5 memberships over on YouTube. Much appreciated for that. But yeah, I like this explanation. I'm curious to see what lawyers will say about this, because like, you know, non-lawyers, they basically us non-lawyers, we're like, oh, that makes sense, I'll accept it. Like we're usually pretty reasonable. So when you say you were doing a small claims court against the previous LLC because you couldn't find the current LLC, and the clerk county says that's fine to do and you can just update it later, or it'll be effective since it was the last one registered there, that seems reasonable to me, and I would just accept that. I'm just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. Sure, why not? But a lawyer might say, well, actually, I don't know.
At this point, I'm like, dude, this is the exact same thing that happened to me in the last video in my Lucifer Valentine documentary. I basically take this person who's like torturing all these people, and I take him to small claims court. He was too afraid to show up, and I won motion for default judgment, and it was 6. So I'm like, dang, this is just the exact same thing that happened in the last video. So I call my friends. I'm like, dude, we won the court case. Let's go collect our money, you know? And
what are your member perks? I will post an invite to the Discord after this YouTube stream. How about that? Okay, we do actually have a Discord that you can get access to if you're a member on the community tab on the YouTube channel. But at some point, I'll do a special event and invite everyone on Kick as well.
Brian called me and he's like, dude,
you get access to stickers.
Like, I hear that Bricks and Minifigs, like someone said that they're like packing up all their inventory. Like you might want to go up soon, because if you don't go up soon, they might close down their store. So Lydia actually called the store and to see if they were planning on closing, basically pretending to be a parent, being like, hey, my kid's birthday is like in like 3 days. Like, can we do a birthday party here? Just to make sure that the store wasn't closed.
What was he planning to do if they showed up in court? Well, that was his plan all along, is that if you watch the first part of the video, they couldn't get this to the court system because they were just dicking them around, and they wanted to flip the script. They wanted to harass them first and then get sued, putting the initial court costs onto the Bricks and Minifigs, which is exactly what's happening. So it's all going according to Keikaku, at least for Reckless Spend thus far. Now, what's the next step of his master plan? Crashing the plane with no survivors? We don't know. We'll find out.
Closing.
Hi, how are you? I'm thinking about booking a children's birthday on March 19th. I was wondering if I could reserve that date.
On March 19th, Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay, and what time?
I'm thinking about like around 4 p.m. I just want to make sure the date is available.
We can do 3 to 4:30.
3 to 4:30. Okay. I just want to make sure, because somebody said that you guys might be closing.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, okay, cool. I just want to make sure the date is available.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're not closing. So I called back Brian, and he still really made it seem like they are actually getting ready to close down the store. The plan was I wanted to like fly out all of my friends. I got like 10 Speedos, and we were all going to walk in Speedos holding piggy banks. So it was like the most epic ending ever I'd planned.
This is kind of a funny thing, because like I remember at the end of the video, like he's in his tidy whities covering the piggy bank, and it's like, okay, this seems like a weird thing to be doing, but we later found out that he was planning to do was 10 dudes to be all walking around in their Speedos with their piggy banks to collect. So it's kind of like that scene from like, what is it, Old School? It's like, come on, we're going streaking. Everybody's doing it, but then he's the only person there. That's why he looked out of place. So it's kind of fun to see this little detail, like the behind the scenes for this.
It was gonna be sick, but I had to go up there just by myself, I guess. And I was like, at least I'll just get footage of them. Like, I don't know what I was gonna do. I was gonna be like, hey, we're filing motion for default judgment. Like, how can we settle this? You know, just type of thing, just kind of like trying to get some ending for the video, because at this point, the video's like an hour and a half long. I'm like, I just need to come up with some type of clip to end this. And so I go up there, and then the store's permanently closed. And well, it said temporarily closed on the window, but then we talked to the people at Tan Republic next to us, and they're like, oh no, they permanently closed down the store. I'm like, okay, sick. So literally the next day I go from Oregon to Utah, and I'm like, I'm just going to talk to Josh to see why he closed down the store, you know, and maybe sue him again personally, you know? And so I did the whole thing where I'm like, hey, we sued you guys, we won, you guys closed down the store to avoid paying us. And so basically we filmed the whole Utah thing where we get raided, all this crazy stuff happens. A couple weeks later, I get a notice in the mail that says that my court case has been dismissed. And I'm like, what the heck? I guess it's just because of like they closed down the stores. That's why it got dismissed, you know? So now it's like fast forward like present day. And I got on a call with Crystal, and she told me that basically what happened is, I guess Bricks and Minifigs had an addition added on, I guess, which, so like the store was small and then they like added a new room. And so they put their LLC in this like new addition space, which I guess technically is like a separate address, but it's not listed on Google or anything. That's like a separate address.
So then Josh and Brandon.
That's like really sneaky. I wonder if they did it intentionally. Like, it doesn't. I'm not sure why they would do that if it was not. I mean, maybe it's just a clerical thing. I don't know. So they had two. They basically bought the adjoining building, knocked down the wall, so that the secondary one is the store is bigger, and then they register under the secondary place. That's a bit of a weird thing. Although it seems like the players always check out the neighboring locations for LLCs, although he does claim that you can't find the LLC registered under anything on Google. Which seems a bit sneaky, because I'm pretty sure that that's like legally has to be available somewhere, right? Specifically for these reasons.
Made Bricks L2 LLC?
I don't remember what the name of it was, but if you go on to I just looked the other day, if you go on to the Oregon Secretary of State website, you can
So it said at the River Road address, I put in the address and said L2 Bricks LLC was an LLC there, but it ended in like 2024 or something like that.
Okay, so that would have been the LLC from Matt Bauman, who was the previous franchise owner.
So him,
I took screenshots of.
Apparently, it's available if you register and pay at the Secretary of State site. Maybe Brian didn't. Maybe Ben didn't know that. I mean, there is a lot of like mistakes made from Google Foo and AI hallucination, so it's possible he just neglected that. I mean, not everyone knows all this stuff, right? I don't know it.
Brandon's current LLC that's listed at that address.
Oh, really? Do you think you sent that to me?
And I can send that to you.
Oh,
it
nice.
It also depends on what actual address you put in, because the store itself is associated with 2 different addresses.
Really? Oh. Maybe that's why it's so hard to find it then.
Because it's 2 different buildings that they cut down the wall in between and put 2 buildings together.
Oh.
So I guess it just like fooled the court system, I guess, and it also fooled me. So they outsmarted me, I guess, is what it was. Bricks and Minifigs used some crazy loophole, and they outsmarted me. They found a way to get out of my lawsuit, but it doesn't matter because I'm like, I can just see you guys again personally. And so we actually did end up getting Josh served. I already went to mediation with them. And
so this is actually a really good detail that kind of like completely destroys Scott Schaefer, because they actually have now received service with Josh, and they're continuing. And it sounds like, because the way that Scott Schaefer is like, I lied, when it's like, it seems like he did everything he did to the best of his ability. He got an announcement from the court saying that he had won his default. And then it just so happened that on review, it was the wrong LLC address. So it's just a technicality. And they closed that LLC anyway, and they're reopening another one to get away from all of this. And I mean, he is going forward with the personal small claims court case with Josh. And also now he's also got this big one, I guess, with both Bricks and Minifigs and Amon and Josh and Brandon. So Scott Schaefer is a human tampon. I don't know about that. That's a pretty mean thing to say, but he's definitely being, what's the word? Obstinate or doubling down. Like he did get the technically accurate statement that the court cases were bogus, or at least just improper. But he can't just take his win. He has to be right about it. That's the problem here. He has to, he's like, all right, guys, look, I was right about what I said. However, the important part is that this is a real lawsuit and it's going forward. And it wasn't that like Josh was, it wasn't like Ben was trying to deceive us. That's what he needs to do. But for some reason, he's like, no, I'm right. I challenge you to $1,000 to see if you could prove me wrong. And you were fooled. It's like, okay, buddy. It's like, again, it's such an easy W, but like for some reason, some people just can't be wrong on the internet, and it destroys their entire lives.
It's about to go to small claims court, and
don't slander tampons like that.
So
okay.
Everyone that's saying the court case is fake.
Tampons serve a purpose for women, at least. Okay.
They just found some loophole to get out of it, I guess, and they I will admit they outsmarted me on this one, and I'm fine with admitting that.
They fooled me, Jerry.
But ultimately, like, it's not like, and now they're trying to use that as proof that the second lawsuit was fake, which, I mean, the police even verified it with the court. It's not fake. And yeah, so just because it didn't work the first time, I was like, okay, if at first you don't succeed, try again. We'll just do them with the second lawsuit, you know? And now, but personally this time, and I don't think they're going to get out of this one. We'll see. But that is the answer to that. So next question is, what will the GoFundMe money be used for? So originally I set the goal at $120,000 because
can we hit the goal?
According to my knowledge, that's still how much money Brian is owed from his collections that have not been paid for.
And this is a good detail because it now confirms that we were worrying about, whereas how much of the Lego set was owned. And this is a detail that is excluded from the documentary, at least in part 1 and 2. But it's, yeah, the $120,000, so approximately half the collection.
Like just a few hours after I posted part 2, we hit that goal. And I personally thought that GoFundMe just like ended. Like once you hit the goal, like we hit our goal, you know, like people can't donate anymore, but people kept donating. So I called Brian, I'm like, shoot, like, do we end this? Like, what do we do? And Brian's like, dude, we just got served a lawsuit. And I'm so happy. Like he was so happy. Like he finally got made whole. And that moment lasted for like an hour. And then he gets served this lawsuit and he's like, however, our attorney's fees, it's looking like it's going to be like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just to pay for, like, to be able to defend ourselves against a lawsuit. So I was like, okay, let's keep the GoFundMe going. Let's put all the money in a legal trust and the money can go.
I believe this is an IALTA account. It's like a legal trust that earns interest, but the lawyers have to use it.
Go to Brian's attorney's fees. But anyways, all that money is Brian's money. I'm not taking any of that money.
This is a good statement to know, like what is happening with the GoFundMe money. He's stated this is 100% for Brian, and his money is going to be coming from his Patreon.
Goes to Brian, and yeah, I think now we're almost like $400,000. It's literally insane, but Brian's still worried that like he's going to get screwed over, which sucks because it's like not only did Bricks Minifigs steal from Brian, now they're going to sue him on top of that. So it's like, what the heck? Like, and then just to answer some of the lawsuits I'm in, I mean, this kind of
legal trust that earns interest, legal cut.
Some episode 3 spoilers, but
cockery. I don't know what you mean by that.
My first stalking charge when I tried to serve Josh papers. I got my second stalking charge when I made the GoFundMe. Bricks and Minifigs is suing me for the videos I made about them. Eamon said I was going to burn down the Bricks and Minifigs building and shoot everyone inside. So I got a extra extortion charge for that one. So yeah, I'm in a lot of charges, but that's what Patreon's for. So subscribe to my Patreon if you want to help with my attorney's fees. And
that's patreon.com/recklessben if you want to help him out. It's kind of obscured by the chat, but honestly, he's doing some great work.
Get to see episode 3 early if you join my Patreon. The next question is, where am I right now? I got multiple police looking for me in multiple different cities. They can't find me, but I'll just tell you guys. I'm at We Steal From Old People's headquarters, and you can visit us at www.westealfromoldpeople.com. Yep, I'm at corporate. This is the corporate office building. It's pretty sick.
Okay, so there you go. What the fuck is this? Wait, Bricks and Minifigs reopened. Ben Schneider 3 days ago, 300K. 1,000 views for Utah Police Exposed. Then there's like, I finally reached Redridge, Octo WoW, 18 views 6 hours ago. Why is this being I mean, I haven't watched any WoW content in ages. I mean, it's nice that YouTube is recommending like small channels with only 18 views, but like, it's going to make me look like I'm gooning to like the WoW stuff or something. Like, come on now. It's not true. I haven't clicked this video before. I don't know who Bo is. I don't know Octo Mum. It's Octo WoW. I don't even know what that is. I assume it's like a mod or a free mode. All right. Brick of Mormon by Skybrows. Let's see. Brick of Mormon. Let me see if I can find this. This was recommended. Skybrows. This is an AI song. All right, we'll take a look. I'll see if I get a copyright strike from this. If not, we can't play it. I mean, it is AI slop songs, but okay. We'll see if it's good or not.
I'm walking a thin line on a slack line, reading warning signs as a flat line. Got a claim form in a backline and a story changing by the halftime. I say I didn't do like Windu. If it
is pretty good.
Then I walk through every interview, got a bend to every memory, got an edit menu, R2D2.
Is it? Sorry to interrupt for the song, but like, is this like a parody of some other song I've never heard before? Or is it like completely original, just AI slop song?
One to others, swearing on my Mormon mother. There's no bigger layer lover, but I keep her undercover. I ain't greedy, I'm protective from
I mean, this is a good song. Thank you for the recommendation. I'm not going to play it just now because like it's like 4 minutes and you never know with these. But this is a Skybrows, the Brick of Mormon. It's called Brick of Mormon if you want to see it, chat. All right, so you can watch it on your own time. The Brick of Mormon, Skybrows. It sounds pretty good. It's amazing how AI music comes so close, if not matching, the impact of music made by humans. Isn't there like an AI musician that's like in the top of the country music or something at this point? I thought I heard that and people were complaining about it. All right, guys, that is the update for the rest of the Lego stream. We may have a gaming stream tomorrow. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see. Since we got some support today, a lot of support, in fact, I'll be posting the Discord link on the YouTube community tab. If you are a member, if you want to get access to that. Yakub versus Mormonism, who wins? Surely Yakub, because didn't he invent all white people and thus all Mormons? I would assume. Until then, we'll go out on another song, but not, well, I mean, it's partly AI, I guess. We've got some tax-free for you, chat, all right? That's the way it's going to be. All right, guys, thanks for the support and everything. Peace. Have a good weekend wherever. I think Jim's streaming tomorrow, so that might be interrupting my stream segment. We'll see. All right, I'm out. Bye.
Did you hear me? It is tax-free. My Zannies, my hookers, my super chats too. Hit that button, cause every single super chat I got it tax-free. Tax-free. Take out your pill bottles, shake your pills, because it's gonna be tax-free. Tax-free, tax-free. Tell your wiggers that we got it. Tax-free in my little tin shack. Cats flying in tornadoes. Gun flopping up and down, let's get the guns out. Gun, 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 gun. Shake it around when it's tax-free. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. It's a tip, so it's tax-free. But wiggle. You best not fold the bullshit because these super chats, they all tax-free. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yo, Faith, don't make me say it. Squeeze. Child support, Faith, it's tax-free. Compass Sneed, cause it's tax-free. That's right, bitch. Now kiss my Gucci hat, I say kiss it. It's authentic, bitch. It's time to gun out. Shake your gun like you mean it. Squeeze. Welcome to the kill stream. This song. Wiggle, wiggle. What you mean I'm drunk? I'm sober, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Maybe one more. So take out your pill bottles and shake your pills, and wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. It's a tip, so it's tax-free. But wiggle.